RSP publishes first list of candidates for Central Committee elections. 384 compete for 99 seats. Bird flu spreads to 82 locations across 11 districts of Nepal. Authorities launch control measures as outbreaks reaches Kathmandu Valley. Vaccine shortage at Peri Hospital leaves victims struggling for treatment with added cost as free anti-rabies vaccine stocks run out. Iran says peace agreement reflects resistance rather than pressure from foreign powers. Tehran calls for troop withdrawal. France records all-time temperature high. Authorities issue alerts while heat disrupts travel, schools and public services. And Ronaldo scores twice as Portugal roots Uzbekistan to boost knockout hopes. Ghana holds England while Croatia secures crucial World Cup victory. Good evening, I'm Suveksha Rajak and this is NTV World Primetime News. We are coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere, it's 13:15 in London, 22:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. The Rashtriya Swatantra Party has published the first list of 384 candidates contesting for 99 Central Committee positions as its first General Convention enters the election phase. According to party officials, 210 candidates are competing in the open category for 64 seats, while 174 candidates are contesting under provincial quotas. Delegates have been given time to file claims and objections before the publication of the final candidate list. The party's Central Election Commission has also revised the election schedule, setting aside time for objections, investigations and candidate withdrawals. A silence period begins before voting, with the first round of electronic voting scheduled to start at 8:30 p.m. Meanwhile, Rabi Lamithane has already been elected unopposed as the party's president. Prime Minister Balendra Shah has returned to Kathmandu after participating in the National Convention of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party in Chitwan. Shah, who also serves as a senior leader of the party, arrived in the capital on a regular flight from Bharatpur this morning. During the convention, he addressed the opening session and later took part in the party's closed-door deliberations. The Prime Minister was re-elected as a senior leader of the party during the convention proceedings. While in Chitwan, Shah also visited the Elephant Breeding Centre in Sauraha and toured Chitwan National Park before returning to Kathmandu. The House of Representatives meeting, originally scheduled for Thursday, has been postponed by one day and will now take place on Friday afternoon. A notice issued by Federal Parliament Secretary General Padma Prasad Pandey stated that Speaker Dole Prasad Aurel rescheduled the meeting under the provision of House regulations. The session has been called for 1 p.m. on Friday. The postponement is widely believed to be linked to the extended duration of the first National Convention of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party, currently underway in Bharatpur, Chitwan. Meanwhile, the National Assembly meeting will proceed as originally scheduled on Thursday. The Nepali Congress has appointed central representatives in all 77 districts to strengthen its active membership distribution campaign ahead the party's 15th General Convention. The party said the representatives will coordinate and oversee the membership drive at the district level as part of efforts to expand its organizational network. The key objective of the campaign is to ensure greater participation of young people, particularly those under the age of 35. Party officials say the initiative aims to increase youth representation within the organization and encourage broader engagement in party activities. The appointed representatives have been directed to reach their assigned districts and complete coordination and facilitation responsibilities by July 5. We are going for a short break here. More news coming up. To stay tuned with us. You are watching NTV World and this is Primetime News. Welcome back. Now moving on to other news. Nepal is witnessing a growing outbreak of highly contagious bird flu, with cases now confirmed at 90 locations across 11 districts. According to the Department of Livestock Services, the disease was first detected in Morang on March 18th and has since spread to districts including Jhapa, Sunsari, Mohattari, Bara, Chitwan, Nawalparasi, Kathmandu, Bhaktapur, Lalitpur and Kabre. Authorities have urged residents of Kathmandu Valley and nearby affected areas to remain vigilant as the outbreak continues to expand. A bird flu control unit has been established under the leadership of the department's Deputy Director General to coordinate response efforts with federal, provincial and local governments. So far, more than 569,000 birds, nearly 990,000 eggs and over 195,000 kilograms of feed have been destroyed to contain the disease. Meanwhile, a severe shortage of anti-rabies vaccine at Peri Hospital in Nepalganj has affected hundreds of patients over the past several months. More than 100 people visit the hospital each day seeking vaccination after being bitten by dogs. Many have expressed frustration over having to purchase a vaccine that is supposed to be provided free of charge by the government.
नेपाल सरकारले नै भेरी अस्पताललाई उपलब्ध गराउने यो भ्याक्सिन हो तर बीचमा चाहिँ अब त्यहाँ पनि क्राइसिस भयो भ्याक्सिनहरु भएन र अहिले चाहिँ हामीले विशेष रूपले चाहिँ बिरामीलाई नै चाहिँ चाहियो भने चाहिँ भ्याक्सिन हाम्रा कर्मचारीहरूले लगाइदिन्छन्.
According to Hospital Information Officer Dr. Sanket Rijal, the growing number of patients and the inability to secure vaccine supplies in line with rising demand have contributed to the shortage.
Vaccine पहिला चाहिँ निशुल्क दिने छ हैन प्रदेश आपूर्तिबाट आउने कुरो त्यहाँ प्रदेश आपूर्ति नै नभएर यसपालि लगभग एकदम थोरै मात्रामा आयो.
Bhavani Prasad Yadav, chief of the medical store at Peri Hospital, said the hospital depends on vaccine supplies received through federal and provincial channels and can distribute only the doses it receives. He added that vaccine stocks at both federal and provincial supply centers are currently insufficient to meet demand. The shortage has led to frustration among some patients, with a number confronting hospital staffs after being asked to purchase a vaccine that is ordinarily available free of charge. The hospital has clarified that it will be unable to provide free anti-rabies vaccinations until new supplies arrive, as its existing stock has been completely exhausted. Now moving on to another news, farmers across several local levels in Palpa district are increasingly adopting green net fencing to protect crops and vegetable farms from wild animals. The price has expanded in Tansen municipality and multiple rural municipalities where monkeys, wild boars and porcupines have caused significant damage to agricultural production. According to the Agricultural Knowledge Center, farmers have installing poles around their fields and covering them with green nets to prevent animals from entering farmland. Farmers say the nets not only reduce crop losses but also provide protection against hailstorms, excessive sunlight and cold weather. While the fencing system is cheaper and easier to install than permanent barriers, farmers say the nets remain expensive and have called on local governments to provide subsidies for their purchase. Nepal's national parks and conservation areas attracted more than 1.09 million domestic and foreign tourists during the fiscal year 2081-82, reaffirming their status as major tourism destinations. According to the Department of National Parks and Wildlife Conservation, domestic visitors accounted for over 586,000 arrivals, while more than 511,000 tourists came from SAARC countries and other foreign nations. The government collected over 1 billion rupees in revenue through park entry fees during the period. Shivapuri Nagarjuna National Park recorded the highest number of visitors, followed by Annapurna Conservation Area and Chitwan National Park. Officials say nearly 60% of foreign tourists visiting Nepal also travel to the country's protected areas, which cover more than 23% of Nepal's total land area. 10,845 electric vehicles worth 25.55 billion Nepali rupees have been imported in the first 11 months of the current fiscal year. The Department of Customs stated that various types of EVs with capacities ranging from 50 kilowatt to 201 kilowatt have been imported during this period. During that period, 3,680 electric vehicles with a capacity of 50 kilowatts worth 5.65 billion Nepali rupees were imported. Similarly, 6,357 electric vehicles ranging from 51 kilowatts to 100 kilowatts worth 16 billion rupees, 497 million and 946,000 have been imported during the same period, the department stated. Gold and silver prices have fallen further in the Nepali market, continuing downward trend seen over the past several days. According to the Federation of Nepal Gold and Silver Dealers Association, the price of gold dropped by 3,600 rupees per tola on Wednesday, bringing it down to 2,83,500 rupees per tola. The decline follows a 1,600 rupee drop recorded on Tuesday, while gold has already fallen by 10,500 rupees per tola last Friday. Silver prices also moved lower, decreasing by 105 rupees per tola to reach 4,485 rupees. Market observers say previous metals have experienced significant volatility in recent traditional trading sessions, leading to notable price corrections. International news coming up next. For now, a short break. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Iran's parliamentary speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf says deal to end the war with US was not the result of pressure and coercion. Ghalibaf, addressing a conference in Azerbaijan's capital Baku, offered Tehran's most pointed characterization yet of the landmark deal to end the Middle East war. Ghalibaf insisted the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, brokered through Pakistani mediation, was not the result of any pressure on Iran, but a product of Iranian residents, and called for all foreign military forces, a clear reference to US bases in the region, to withdraw as a strategic goal. He also signaled an outreach to Gulf states previously targeted by Iranian strikes, saying that Tehran sees the future of the region not in confrontation but in interaction, while reiterating that a lasting ceasefire in Lebanon remains a non-negotiable pillar of any final agreement with Washington.
تفاهم اسلام آباد نیز نه نتیجه فشار و اجبار بلکه حاصل مقاومت و اقتدار ملت شجاع ایران بود. تفاهمی که نشان داد گفتگو زمانی به نتیجه میرسد که طرف مقابل از تحمیل اراده خود بر یک ملت متمدن صرف نظر کرده و حقوق ما را بپذیرد. به همین جهت یادداشت تفاهم اسلام آباد تبدیل به اعلامیه شکست آمریکا شد. برای ما آتش بس در لبنان به اندازه آتش بس در ایران و در ادامه خاتمه جنگ در لبنان به اندازه خاتمه جنگ در ایران اهمیت داشته و دارد.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has outlined Washington's vision for Iran's future, saying the country could unlock significant opportunities for growth and prosperity if its leadership chooses to abandon support for militant activities abroad and act as a nation focused on development. Speaking to reporters, Rubio stressed, however, that any progress in relations would depend on Iran taking meaningful steps to address a range of security concerns that remain critical to regional and international stability in the coming days.
If Iran makes a decision, if its leadership makes a decision that they want to be a country instead of a revolutionary movement that exports terror, they're going to have an opportunity to do incredible things in Iran. I'm not promising you that that's the choice they're going to make. I'm saying if that's the choice that they make, then there will be opportunities, and those opportunities could include investment as you've seen other countries in this region benefit from investment, from foreign direct investment. It won't be our investment, it won't be our government money, but I think that is something that's going to have to depend on progress made on a host of other security issues that have to be confronted in the days to come.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian arrived in Islamabad on a state visit Tuesday, marking his first foreign trip since the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran earlier this year. He received a ceremonial welcome before holding talks with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. The visit is widely seen as recognition of Pakistan's key role in mediating the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, which initiated the current diplomatic process aimed at ending the conflict. During their meeting, the two leaders discussed expanding cooperation in trade, energy, border security, regional connectivity, and people-to-people exchanges. They also focused on implementing the 14-point agreement, while technical teams meeting in Switzerland continue work on a 60-day roadmap toward a permanent resolution of the Iran conflict. France is experiencing a historic heat wave after recording its highest ever average national maximum temperature of 38.2 degrees Celsius. The new record surpasses the previous mark set during the devastating 203 heat wave and comes as more than 90% of the population faces extreme temperatures. Forecasters expect temperatures between 39 and 41 degrees Celsius across large parts of the country, with dozens of departments placed on high alert. The intense heat has disrupted daily life, leading to school closures, train cancellations, and the temporary closure of major tourist attractions, including the Eiffel Tower. Health officials say hospitals remain prepared, but medical workers are concerned that prolonged exposure to extreme temperatures could trigger a surge in heat-related illness in the coming days. The southwest monsoon has finally arrived in Mumbai, reaching the city 13 days later than its normal onset date and matching one of the most delayed arrivals on record. Heavy overweight rainfall inundated several parts of the city, causing severe waterlogging in low-lying areas, flooding subways and disrupting railway services. Images of residents moving through knee-deep flood waters quickly spread across social media as authorities worked to manage the situation. Before the rains arrived, water levels in Mumbai's reservoirs had fallen to just over 10% of capacity, prompting officials to impose water use restrictions for households and businesses. Experts say the city faces a growing challenge from aging infrastructure, rising water demand, and climate-related weather extremes, raising concerns over both flooding and future water shortages. More international news and sports update coming up next after this short breather. Chinese Premier Li Qiang used the global stage of Summer Davos today to deliver a stark warning about the dangers of unregulated artificial intelligence, speaking at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting of the new champions in the northeastern port city of Dalian. Li acknowledged that AI has boosted innovation efficiency, but stressed that fears are growing over AI-driven disruption to labor markets and the security risks it poses, from its use in conflict to breaches of cyber defenses and the potential creation of new bioweapons.
其技术进步速度之快，前所未有。同时，不可控的问题也在显著上升，特别是人工智能。大家知道，人工智能的发展提升了创新的效率。 各类前沿突破层出不穷。有人说，人类已经 步入了智能时代的寒武纪，但是我们不能不看到技术失控、伦理失范等风险在当下技术发展当中也更加凸显。如果相关治理没有跟得上，就可能导致严重的后果。
He also pushed back against Western narratives of a China shock, insisting that what China's technologies bring to the world is not a shock but an opportunity, not a threat but empowerment. Moving on to another news, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has called for stronger international cooperation and respect for global rules while addressing the BRICS National Security Advisors meeting in New Delhi. Referring to the prolonged US-Iran conflict, Wang said the crisis has exposed weaknesses in the international system and highlighted growing challenges to global stability. He outlined 4 key lessons from the conflict, including the need to uphold international law, respect national sovereignty, adopt a new security vision, and address the rise of unconventional warfare. Wang warned that pursuing absolute security at the expense of others could ultimately prove counterproductive. He also urged BRICS countries to strengthen cooperation in tackling emerging threats such as information warfare and cyber warfare, which he described as increasingly important challenges in modern conflicts. Far-right candidate Alvarado de Espriella has won Colombia's presidential runoff in the closest election in the nation's history. De la Espriella defeated left-wing Senator Ivan Sidapi with 49.66% of the vote against 48.70%, a margin of roughly 250,000 votes. The president-elect secured a record 12.9 million votes, the highest total ever received by a presidential candidate in Colombia. Outgoing President Gustavo Petro alleged that election software had been hacked to influence the outcome, but international observers rejected the claims. The European Union Election Observation Mission said the vote counting process was transparent and traceable, adding that no candidate or campaign had formally reported irregularities. De la Espriella is scheduled to assume office on July 20th. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un attended a commissioning ceremony for the Chohyun warship in the port city of Nampo, formally adding the vessel to the country's naval fleet. The 5,000-ton class warship is one of 2 major vessels launched last year as part of Pyongyang's efforts to modernize its maritime forces. During the ceremony, Kim announced plans to equip North Korea's navy with nuclear weapons, signaling a significant expansion of the country's military capabilities. He also revealed ambitions to build even larger warships in the future, indicating that naval development remains a key strategic priority. The announcement is expected to raise concerns among regional powers and the wider international community as North Korea continues to advance its military buildup. Now to sports update. Cristiano Ronaldo, shown as Portugal, finally secured a convincing 5-0 win over Uzbekistan in the FIFA World Cup 2026 match. 5 goals were scored, with Portugal ceding a commanding 5-0 victory. Ronaldo silenced his critics from the opening match by netting twice. Besides Ronaldo, Nuno Mendes and Rafael Leao added 1 goal each, while Portugal benefited from an own goal. With this win, Portugal strengthened the knockout stage chances. Uzbekistan, having already lost 3-1 to Colombia, suffered a second straight defeat, ending its maiden World Cup hopes. Meanwhile, Ghana held mighty England to a goalless draw in Boston. England failed to capitalize on scoring chances and settle for a point. In Toronto, Croatia defeated Panama 1-0 in Luka Modric's landmark 200th international appearance. Ante Budimir scored the decisive goal in 53rd minute. Croatia, beaten in the opener, now has 3 points and sits third in Group L. Panama, with back-to-back defeats, is confirmed out of the tournament in the matches lined up for Thursday. Bosnia and Herzegovina takes on Qatar in a Group B clash, while Switzerland and Canada also face off at the same time. Brazil versus Scotland is one of the high-profile clashes from Group C. Meanwhile, Morocco and Haiti take on simultaneously. South Korea and South Africa lock horns later in the Group A clash. Football icon Lionel Messi is celebrating his 39th birthday while representing Argentina at the 2026 FIFA World Cup in the United States. The milestone comes during another remarkable tournament for Messi, who has already scored 5 goals and extended his record as the all-time leading goal scorer in World Cup history with 18 goals across 6 editions. Fans across Argentina marked the occasion through a nationwide score media campaign encouraging supporters to sing happy birthday to their captain throughout the day. The celebrations also spread online, with Google featuring a special tribute that generated millions of interactions worldwide. From his beginning in Rosario to lifting the World Cup in Qatar and rewriting football history, Messi's career remains one of the sport's most extraordinary stories. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories. Rashtriya Swatantra Party publishes first list of candidates for Central Committee elections. 384 compete for 99 seats. Bird flu spreads to 90 locations across 11 districts of Nepal. Authorities launch control measures as outbreak reaches Kathmandu Valley. Vaccine shortage at Bheri Hospital leaves victims struggling for treatment with added cost as free anti-rabies vaccine stocks run out. Iran says peace agreement reflects resistance rather than pressure from foreign powers. Tehran calls for troop withdrawal. France records all-time temperature high. Authorities issue alerts while heat disrupts travel, schools and public services. And Ronaldo scores twice as Portugal roots Uzbekistan to boost knockout hopes. Ghana holds England while Croatia secures crucial World Cup victory. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Suveksha Rajak and thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting, PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it.
NTV World. Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Hello and welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. I'm Sabika Shrestha, your host for the program. From major headlines to the issues behind them, we break down the week's top stories and explore how they are shaping the path forward. Today's episode includes the latest from the Rashtriya Swatantra Party's RSP's first General Convention in Chitwan, a historic gathering seen as a defining moment for the party's future. From the enthusiasm and expectations surrounding the convention to the key messages delivered by party leaders and the start of the closed session, we look at how the event is shaping RSP's leadership, organization and political direction. Amid the summer heat and looming monsoon, why did Rashtriya Swatantra Party chose Chitwan for its first ever general convention? Chitwan in many ways is the epicenter of RSP and the resurgence of the party into the largest political force in the country with near two-thirds of the majority. This is also the place where the party's founding president, Rabi Lamichhane, won election for 2 consecutive terms with overwhelming majority. For a young party like RSP that has the responsibility to address the massive expectations of the people, the heat and rain in Chitwan is secondary. The first General Convention is bringing together nearly 4,000 representatives from Nepal and abroad at a pivotal moment for the party. The gathering is to decide the party's future leadership, organizational structure and political direction, while introducing a digital voting system for the first time. Here's a report. Rashtriya Swatantra Party RSP's first General Convention has kicked off in Bharatpur of Chitwan, marking a crucial milestone for the party as it seeks to shape its future leadership, organizational structure and political direction. Prime Minister and RSP senior leader Balendra Shah and RSP chair Rabi Lamichhane jointly inaugurated the convention by ringing a ceremonial bell. The convention has brought together nearly 4,000 representatives from across Nepal and abroad, reflecting the party's rapid growth since its establishment 4 years ago. The opening session also has drawn prominent political leaders and dignitaries from across the political spectrum, underscoring the significance of the gathering. One of the convention's major agendas is a proposed amendment to the party statute. Under the proposal, the Central Committee would be expanded to 158 members, while the party chairperson would be authorized to nominate 51 members. Delegates are discussing the party's ideological positioning, internal democracy and governance agenda, and preparations for future elections. Addressing the convention, Finance Minister and RSP Vice Chair Dr. Swarnim Wagle said the party aims to become not only a force of rebellion but also a force for nation building.
हाम्रो राजनीतिक उद्देश्य केवल सरकार फेर्ने मात्र होइन, यो राजनीतिक संस्कार परिवर्तनको अभियान हो। हामी विवेक र विधि अनि नियममा आधारित शासनतर्फ जान चाहन्छौं, भागबण्डाबाट मेरिटोक्रेसी तर्फ जान चाहन्छौं, नागरिक केन्द्रित लोकतन्त्रतर्फ जान चाहन्छौं। प्रिय साथीहरू, हामी कसैलाई हराउन भन्दा पनि नेपाललाई जिताउन आएका हौं। हामी पुरानो पुस्तासँग लड्न होइन, नयाँ राजनीतिक संस्कार बसाल्न आएका छौं। त्यसैले रासोपाको शक्ति आक्रोश मात्र होइन, आशा हुनुपर्छ, आलोचना मात्र होइन, विकल्प दिनुपर्छ, विद्रोह मात्र होइन, निर्माण हुनुपर्छ।
Foreign Minister and RSP leader Sisir Khanal said the party is drawing new lines for Nepal's international relations based on pragmatism, economic cooperation, mutual respect and national interest.
पार्टी स्थापना भएको 1 वर्षपछि पार्टीले अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय मामला हेर्ने गरेर मेरो नेतृत्वमा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय सम्बन्ध समिति बनायो 3 वर्ष अगाडि। यसबीच हामीले विभिन्न देशका विभिन्न मुलुकका पार्टीहरूसँग सम्बन्ध विस्तार गर्दै गएका छौं र भर्खरै हामीले एउटा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय प्लेटफर्मको इन्टरनेशनल कन्फरेन्स अफ एसियन पोलिटिकल पार्टिज, विभिन्न देशका 300 भन्दा बढी राजनीतिक पार्टीहरूको यो सामूहिक संगठनको हामी अहिले स्ट्यान्डिङ कमिटीका सदस्य पनि भएका छौं।
Meanwhile, RSP for the first time is implementing a largely digital voting system. Delegates will vote electronically, while members living abroad will be able to participate through the party's mobile application. To ensure secrecy and fairness, delegates have been prohibited from carrying candidate name slips into voting areas. Security arrangements have been tightened around the venue. As RSP enters its 5th year, the convention is widely viewed as a defining moment that could shape the party's leadership, organizational character, policy direction, and role in Nepal's evolving political landscape for years to come. The opening ceremony of the General Convention was an interesting occasion, but only to see the hierarchy of the party leadership, but also the participation of the other parties. The opening statements of the RSP leaders were not only very encouraging, but also spoke of the responsibility and political maturity they are often blamed not to have.
यसअगाडि राजनीतिक दलहरू प्रतिस्पर्धी बने, हामीलाई प्रतिस्पर्धा गर्ने छुट छैन। हाम्रा व्यक्तिगत वैमनस्यताहरू हाम्रा निजी हुनु हुँदैन, त्यो सकिनुपर्छ। कहिले सकिनुपर्छ भने अहिले यहीँबाट सकिनुपर्छ। हामी वैमनस्यता बोकेर बाँच्ने होइन, ठुलो हृदय बोकेर अगाडि बढ्ने राजनीतिज्ञ बन्नुपर्नेछ। हामीले एक अर्कालाई जवाफ दिनु पर्दैन, हामीले इतिहासलाई जवाफ दिनुपर्छ। इतिहासका लागि पनि हामीले हाम्रा वैमनस्यहरूलाई तत्काल त्यागेर सहकार्यको बाटोमा अगाडि बढ्नुपर्ने आवश्यकता परेको छ। किनकि हाम्रा दम्बहरू हुन्, हाम्रा घमण्ड हुन्, हाम्रा अप्ठ्यारा हुन्, या हाम्रा कुनै पनि कुराहरू हुन्, ती हाम्रा निजी रहेनन्, देशका रहे, देश हितमा तिनको महत्त्व हुन्छ।
एउटा राम्रो नेता बन्नलाई, एउटा राम्रो राजनीतिज्ञ बन्नलाई जनताको आस्था, जनताको माया जित्नुपर्छ, कुनै समूहको मायाले हुँदैन। त्यही भएर समूह बनाउने पछाडि नलाग्नु होला। त्यस्तो बिउ अहिले नै नरोप्नु कि त्यो बिउ भोलि रुख बनेर बीचबाट फाड्नु परोस्। त्यही भएर यस्तो बिउ रोप्ने काम, यस्तो रुख फलाउने कामहरू हामी चाहिँ नगरौँ। हामीले पुरानाहरूबाट यो सिक्नुपर्छ। र एउटा कुरा के भन्न चाहन्छु भने, हामी नयाँ पार्टी हो, नयाँ सोचले गर्दा हामीले हरेक चुनावमा गएर एउटै एजेन्डा बोकेर जाने, सुशासन ल्याउँछु भनेको छ, सुशासनको लागि एजेन्डा बोकेको छ, सुकुम्बासी समस्या हटाउँछु भनेको छ। हामीले यही कार्यकालमा सुकुम्बासी समस्या समाधान गर्छौँ, यही कार्यकालमा सहकारी समस्या समाधान गर्छौँ। अर्को चुनावमा फेरि यही एजेन्डा बोकेर जाँदैनौँ, अर्को चुनावमा नयाँ एजेन्डा बोकेर जाने हो।
The opening of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party's first general convention brought together some of Nepal's most prominent political voices. Apart from CPN-UML chair KP Sharma Oli and NCP chair Pushpakamal Dahal, presidents of other major parties in and outside the parliament attended RSP's general convention.
प्रत्येक राष्ट्रिय स्वतन्त्र पार्टीका सदस्यलाई म भन्न चाहन्छु, आफ्नै नेतालाई पनि प्रश्न गर्ने आँट गर्नु होला, साहस गर्नु होला। गल्ती हुँदै गर्दा अरू पार्टीका साथीहरूलाई भन्नै पर्छ, तर आफ्नो भित्र भन्ने साहस पनि तपाईले राख्नुपर्छ भन्ने ठान्दछु।
राष्ट्रिय स्वतन्त्र पार्टीले एउटा असाधारण जनादेश सहित अहिले यहाँ तपाईहरु उपस्थित हुनुभएको छ। सम्भवतः अरू राजनीतिक दलहरूका लागि गएको 4 वर्षमा तपाईहरुले हासिल गर्नुभएका उपलब्धिहरूबाट सिक्नुपर्ने, तपाईहरुले जसरी युवाहरूलाई जोड्नुभयो, आकर्षित गर्नुभयो, त्यसबाट सिक्नुपर्ने धेरै महत्त्वपूर्ण कुराहरू छन्। यो जनादेश अब भोलि एउटा सुदृढ लोकतन्त्र निर्माणका लागि कसरी रूपान्तरित हुन्छ, सिङ्गो देशले प्रतीक्षा गरिरहेको छ भन्ने म ठान्दछु। जनादेश प्राप्त गर्नु साह्रै महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा हो। चाने चुने प्रयासले त्यो उपलब्धि हासिल हुँदैन, तर त्यो भन्दा ठूलो कुरा त्यो जनादेशको सदुपयोग कसरी हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ बढी महत्त्वपूर्ण हुन्छ भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ।
समस्या नेतामा मात्र होइन, उनीहरूले ल्याएको संविधान र संवैधानिक व्यवस्थामा पनि छ। त्यसकारण यो संविधानमा परिवर्तन र सुधार नगरिकन, देशमा एउटा राष्ट्रिय सहमति निर्माण नगरिकन देशले लिक पक्रिदैन। त्यसकारण एउटा ऐतिहासिक जिम्मेवारी र ऐतिहासिक अवसर तपाईहरुले प्राप्त गर्नुभएको छ। यो अवसरको सदुपयोग होस्।
तपाईभित्र एउटा जुनून छ, यो देश बनाउने अठोट छ, देशमा केही समृद्धि आओस् भन्ने चाहना छ, त्यसको लागि तपाईहरु यहाँ आउनु भएको। तपाईहरु यहाँ कुनै पद र प्रतिष्ठाको लागि आउनु भएको होइन।
The attention now shifts to the closed session where voting is being held for new leadership. How will the party set its internal leadership among 3 different types of followers? RSP insiders, those who joined after the Genji movement, and the third ones who joined defecting other parties. We talked to political analyst Dr. Chandradev Bhatta on the future course of the party and possible leadership scenario. Mr. Bhatta, welcome to the Perspective.
Thank you very much for inviting me to your program.
As RSP is undergoing through its first general convention, how significant is the RSP's first general convention for the party's future and Nepal's broader political landscape?
The convention is most important for RSP, primarily because they are holding it for the first time. Of course, they have had a very interesting, outcome in the elections, but the party itself was not really in a proper shape because it was a loose network of people coming from a different background. So it was this convention will try to bring people from a different backgrounds, and it will give some sort of shape to the political party as well. Not only that, this convention also provides, there was a lot of confusion as what position the RSP is going to have with regard to many issues related to governance, such as federalism, republicanism, and also the secularism. This was not quite clear because they did not have any clear political ideology in the past. But this has been just aired out by the party president, Ravi Lamithane, just the day before the convention started. So if we look at the convention is quite important for at least 2-3 reasons. First, if they're coming together, the convention will give a formal shape to the party, and this will give a democratic legitimacy to the party. Second, there is a clarity, some sort of clarity on the issues that RSP is going to have in the days to come. Third, one is this also provides a lot of opportunity for the democratic exercises within the political party as well, because they are having it for the first time. In the past, they had a political leadership within the party, but that was the leadership was not really elected. They had people, some sort of selected among themselves. So they are exercising, they're really practicing democracy for the first time. And the one most important part is that this will also give them a space to their commitment towards democracy and economic development of the country, because people at large held high hope from the party. And this is the right time for them to renew their commitment towards democracy and development of this country.
Mr. Bhatta, can this convention help strengthen internal democracy and institutionalize the party beyond its founding leaders?
I think the very objective of convention is to strengthen internal democracy itself. It is more important in the case of Rashtriya Swatantra Party, primarily because, as I said earlier, they did not have a conventions, and this is the right time for them to get the people through electoral process. First point. Second point is this is also the time for them to show their commitment towards representation and inclusion of people from a different background. Because the current constitution of Nepal demands political parties also to be abided by the principle of inclusion and representations. This is quite an important for the political party, for the future of the political party as well. Also, I think from these conventions, people will also get to know what type of political party Rashtriya Swatantra Party, RSP, is going to be in the future, because this will be cleared out through this convention. So if we put these things together, I think this will certainly institutionalize party internally as well as externally. I said it externally primarily because people at large were not really quite sure as how the party is going to be in the future, because there was no clarity. They did not really have any ideology that can bind the people together. So what would be the binding force? Is it going to be democracy, or is it going to be development, or is it going to be their commitment towards the alternative politics? Because they said a lot about introducing alternative politics in this country. So if we all put all these things together, I think in one way or the other, this will institutionalize political party beyond the founding leaders, as you said.
What are the biggest challenges that RSP has been facing as it seeks to transform from a popular movement into a mature political organization?
I think most of the Nepalese political parties are facing the similar types of challenges, and we can also see these types of challenges cropping up within the RSP as well. The biggest challenge, if I wanted to point out, would be the managing the heads. That's the biggest challenge, because they have got quite ambitious people who really wanted to be in the power, into the helm of power. The second point is, as I said, they have got people coming from a different types of political background. How are they going to manage them and bring them together? That will be another challenge. And third challenge is their commitments, as I said repeatedly. Their commitments towards democracy is the most important part. I think that's these 2-3 factors will be quite an important for them. As of now, a lot of issues are coming up in the market as well, because particularly with regard to the modus operandi of the political party as well. So these 2-3 factors will have to be looked into very carefully in this conventions. I'm sure the party is maturing since the Prime Minister and the party presidents both have inaugurated the program, the conventions. A lot of these issues will be resolved through the conventions.
Mr. Bhatta, as per your view, how has been the coordination of the party and the government in RSP? Is it a normal relationship, or rumors of gap are for real?
There are rumors in the market, particularly in the media also, as well as in the chattering class of Nepal, that the relationship between the government and the political party are not really going well. But this was, again, this morning, yesterday, when Prime Minister Balendra Shah and party president Ravi Lamichhane brought together inaugurated the program and spoke about the unity of the political party, unity of the RSP. I think at least for now, we don't see much of a differentiate. But again, the working style of Prime Minister certainly is different than the working style of party president. We're not really quite sure whether the government will remain within the framework of the framework developed by the political party or go beyond that, because Prime Minister basically wanted to work on a fast track basis. We don't know whether the party will allow it or not, or will they come up with some sort of agreement so that they can work together and resolve the issues together again. So it is yet to be seen, and I'm sure a lot of these issues will be sorted out after the conventions. And the very objective of convention is also to sort out all these misunderstanding and confusion that has been there for a long period of time. People started making comments primarily because first, they did not have a convention. Second, because Prime Minister and the party president were not really meeting that frequently. That's what came out in media. And third factor is, there are, again, the conventional political parties and the people affiliated with them may not have that level of comfortable with the way things are happening with the political parties. So I'm sure the relationship, there might certainly be some issues, but all these things will be sorted out. Let's hope for good one.
Mr. Bhatta, lastly, what outcomes from this convention will determine whether the RSP can remain a credible alternative to Nepal's traditional political parties?
I think the biggest outcome is that they were able to hold the conventions very successfully. That's the biggest outcome, because there were rumors that Prime Minister may not attend it. The second is they were also able to invite people from other political parties, conventional political parties, and Nepal political leaders were able to come together in a common platform and speak about the problems that this country is facing. Apart from that, as I said earlier, the convention is also going to look into some of the key issues. The party manifesto will be developed, and that will certainly provide some guidelines to the government and to the democracy of this country as well. Since the conventional political parties, as you said, are not really, between badly defeated in the recently concluded elections, and a lot of hope lies on the new political process, which is RSP here. So RSP, in fact, carries huge loads, huge burden of both promoting and strengthening democracy and creating economic opportunities within the country, and that has to be now translated into actions. And I'm sure this will provide a lot of scope for that. And the most important part is the democratic exercise, which they were able to do that. Most of the political parties, if you look in this country, were not really even able to hold the conventions for a long period of time, and they did it. So we should be quite, hopeful about it, hopeful the future of the party as well as future of democracy and economic improvement of this country. That's what I would say for now.
That was senior political analyst Dr. Chandradev Bhatta explicating more on RSP's convention to us. Thank you, sir, for your time and insights.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's the perspective for this week. We'll be back next week with major highlights. Stay tuned to NTV World.
What if I told you a story of a place shrouded in mystery and steeped in stones? A place where warriors were born and raised, and their path through the mountains still remain to this day. Ajirkot Gorkha, the unbeaten kingdom.
हामी पाहुनाहरू आउनु हुँदाखेरि हामी यसरी स्वागत गर्छौं अनि अलि-अलि नाचगानहरू देखाउँछौं। मेरो सिंहो नेपाल गाउँलेकी गोरखामा गर्व लाग्छ जन्मिएछु साथै स्वर्गमा म त नेपालकी छोरी भन्छन् गोर्खाली।
जस्तो घाटु चुड्काहरू भन्ने चाहिँ विशेष गरी हुन्छ यहाँ।
For those seeking a luxurious escape, there are stunning lodges that offer an indulgent retreat amidst the rugged beauty of this place. But for the true adventurers, this place has it all, from trekking through dense forest of Nagepokari trails to exploring ancient temples and learning the rich history of the region. So, what do you fancy? Are you the solo explorer, or do you prefer luxury within nature? Or perhaps you are the one who seeks to witness it all. Well, after all, life is a box of chocolates, and this place is filled with surprises. Welcome to the place where magic and reality intertwine, where the wonders of nature are both breathtaking and awe-inspiring. From the elevations of 300 meters to a towering 8,000 meters, this place will leave you mesmerized and in awe.
Today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from the beautiful hills of Virginia. Tara Linhart, an award-winning musician who is known for blending Appalachian bluegrass with Nepali folk sounds. Tara has performed on some of the biggest stages in the US and has a deep connection with Nepal's music and art. And joining her is Prince Nepali, a talented sarangi player, music educator, and a generational musician continuing his family's rich musical legacy. Please welcome Tara Linhart and Prince Nepali. So when Appalachian bluegrass and Nepali folk music come together, what do you think it connects to the bigger world, and what is the core of this music?
Music is music, and notes are notes. And the Appalachian music and some of the Nepali music, it just has some of the same groove and same feel, and even very similar melodies,
right?
And also themes within the lyrics, and so they blend really well. And so I think it's hopefully it'll be more and more, but there should be a lot of cross-fertilization of ideas between the two musics, because they sound great. Mm-hmm. I mean, we play a Nepali song and then an Appalachian song, and it sounds similar, same.
And so you're saying that American folk instruments and Nepali folk instruments are somehow parallel to each other.
They work really well together. And the Nepali sarangi, we recorded it, a friend of mine, Danny Nicely, and I, we recorded a bunch of sarangi music many years ago, probably little after 2000 or something. And we brought just the sarangi music without the bansuri and the model. And we brought it back to America and we played it for some of the Appalachian style, like bluegrass and old time, we call it the paharakogit from the Appalachians. We played it for the professional violin players. We call them fiddle players there. And we said, where do you think this person is from? What is this? And they said, well, it's definitely Appalachian fiddle playing. I almost know the song, but I don't know the song, so it must not be in my state. It must be in the next state over, because it's, I almost feel like I know it, but I don't. And then we said it's a sarangi and it's in Nepal, and they'd be like, you know, blew their minds because it was so similar.
So fiddle is from another, you're from Virginia, right?
Yes.
So fiddle is this instrument called fiddle from another state, or how does it work
A
there?
violin, so in English, it's very funny, the history of English, we have two words from many things. We have the fancy sounding formal word, which is from French, like violin, and then we'll have a more basic, the people, common person word, which is usually from German. So the violin and the fiddle are the exact same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
But one is from German, and so that's like what the country people, you know, they'll want to call it the fiddle, and they'll just play it, and they'll like to have people dancing, and they'll be like they'll play it like this, right? And then if you have really good posture and your eyebrows are up and you play it, then you might play the violin.
Okay.
So it's basically like the country music, you know, basically whenever you're traveling, you see the folk and the local thing, you know. It's not like I mean, you don't have a proper posture to it, you know, and then it's basically how the lifestyle is more about, you know, how you play. The music is more about the lifestyle that you
and
find
for fun,
people. And like, also for fun, mostly for the community music and everything. You know,
like
we gather up, play.
If you see, like I spend a lot of time in some of the Gandharva villages, and when there's no audience and they're just them, they're playing because they want to play and they enjoy the music, and their kids are dancing and their kids are learning to play, growing up from a young age. And it's the same thing in the Appalachian Mountains, which is interesting because a lot of the city people in the United States have no idea about Appalachian culture in the United States, which is quite funny. If you ask a lot of people throughout the United States, especially from urban areas, but any place that's not in that little middle Appalachian zone, if there is Raksi, if there's moonshine, and they'll say, no, there used to be, maybe 100 years ago, doesn't exist now.
I think
However,
people around the world have this misconception that Americans, even us, like our generation, they don't have culture, per se. But like the sarangi, we have our own community-based musical instruments, like the sarangi. The Tamangs have the tungna, the damfu.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
we have the madal. So can you tell me
our
what
traditional
are
instruments?
Yeah, instruments.
Yes. So yes, we have the mandolin. And each of these, because the United States is such an immigrant place, a lot of them were brought over. So mandolins were brought over, I think by the Italians initially, because the Italians were very well known for making them. I think the guitar came from the Spanish coming over. The banjo came from Africa and was modified in the United States. This was also, the Italian mandolins had a big round back on them. But then the Americans, Orville Gibson actually figured out you could make it just concave like a violin or fiddle. So you have the basic, also upright bass is very common. So you have bass, guitar, mandolin, banjo, fiddle, which is violin. But yeah, so that, and people will just play on their porch the exact same way that like a Gandharva community would just play on their porch. They finished doing the farming, they play music for fun. And now, of course, with the evolution of post-industrialization, people are specializing.
Prince, what about the sarangi?
Sarangi is actually mostly played by the people here, called Gandharva. So Gandharva mostly came from the west actually, western part of Nepal mostly, and now they're all over Nepal actually. And I think Tara is actually has done a lot more work on Gandharva as well. So she's been like taking some documentaries from back then, you know. And yeah, I think the Gandharva people, so the king, like every ethnic group had their own jobs to do. So Gandharva people were given the musical thing where they used sarangi and their vocal. So back in the days when there was no means of communications like televisions and radios, so Gandharva people, they used to go around the village, you know, give the message to the people. So basically by storytelling or singing the song, you know.
bringing the news.
Bringing the news, actually, and going from village to village. Talking about me, I'm the 4th generation in my family to play this instrument. So everybody in my family is like we come from a Gandharva family, and everybody in my family played like sarangi or madal or somebody singing, you know. That's amazing part of it, actually.
So Prince, how did you start playing the sarangi?
Sarangi, was always at home, basically. So, so I used to see like my father, and he's been playing music all his life.
Grandfather as well.
So yes. So yeah, Mangar Kansa Nepali is my great-grandfather, and Ramsaran Nepali is actually a very big singer. I mean, he traveled a lot.
Ramsaran Nepali is a pioneer sarangi player of Nepal.
Yeah, he was a singer and a sarangi player. He traveled along with sarangi in many parts of the world. Yeah. So yeah, and he kind of like introduced like the metal string for sarangi, and sarangi itself as a lead instrument, you know. So back in the days, the instrument used to be only like accompanying the vocal, you know. They used to play, but just the melodies that they used to sing, you know. And nowadays it has been used as a leading instrument, where you kind of like do solos and many things, you know. And they have like different styles of playing, like many musicians in Pokhara or some, they have like different style of playing. And also in the eastern part of Nepal, there are lots of people who have like a different style of playing. And yeah, when I was very young, like I used to see my father playing all the time he had like lots of different bands, and then he used to play in this band called Trikal, Sukarma, you know, and also was like traveling along with the instrument in many parts of the world. So whenever they were practicing, there used to be a sarangi just by the side, and I used to just go and pick it up, just, you know, noodle with something. I was like, I started really young, when like, I mean, he didn't force me to play anytime, but I was like so inspired by just looking at him, you know, how that music could change like the whole ambience there. So
it also brought him to different countries and different places. And one story that I know that his father had told me was that he was playing a concert in France, and so he asked, you know, everyone's like, you'll have to see the Louvre, the big museum there. And he said, I wonder if there's any Nepali music in here, can we find out? And they went and they looked, and it was his grandfather. Had been recorded as a child, and he was in the Louvre Museum, which is pretty. Yeah,
I listened to that music, and it was so amazing. That's what I'm like. What Tara told before was like the connection of like the style of playing. You know, in like most of the part of the world, when you listen to fiddle and sarangi, it sounds so close. You know, you cannot like recognize it's from Nepal or like from the US. You know, it just gets connected to you. I mean, in different forms. So. Yeah, and I started like when I was 7, just playing, you know, a few songs and just imitating my father, you know, how he used to play.
And then it became your passion.
And yeah, it became part of my life.
And your brother also is a musician?
Yes, my brother, he's a singer actually. He does play like a Nepali rhythm, like Madhul Dhime. But he's a very good singer. It's called Prizal Nepali. So he's done many commercial songs at the moment, and yeah.
My friend that I made a documentary called the Mountain Music Project, going back and forth between Virginia and our Pahar Gogit and mostly the Gandharva as focus. But he became a very gifted professional musician, and his father says the way that I got him to play music was I'd leave all the instruments out in the room, and I'd leave the house and I'd say, don't touch them. And he'd leave knowing that you tell a kid not to touch the instruments.
That's true.
And they watch their parents having fun with it all the time. You know, some people think, I'm going to make my children play, and they'll give them some classical lessons or something, and they have to sit, and they have to play for a certain amount of time. It makes the kids often get a bad taste in their mouth from it. But if you just demonstrate how fun it is, it's like a game you get to play, but you have to know how to play the game. Then all the kids want to play the game. They want to be involved.
Right.
And then also he got the extra thing where his dad was like, all right, don't touch that. And then as soon as his dad would leave, he'd look in and be like,
this is pretty amusing to me. Like, you all the way from Virginia, you as an undergraduate student, you were here in the 90s in Nepal.
Yes.
So how did that happen, and how did you meet his father?
Well, I have to say in the 90s, I did not I did not get connected with the Gandharva community yet. I got connected with the Newari community. So I was here as a University of Wisconsin student, and I traveled with an environmental NGO called ECA around Nepal, which was very interesting. I studied tabla with Homnath Upadhyay, who I ended up meeting his son at a gig after we played together in America. And I also studied with Shambhuji Mishra. But I spent most of my studies in Bungamati studying wood carving. So I studied with Puniraj Tulador, which was quite an honor because he's a brilliant wood carver. And I lived with his family. And Shanta Tulador is now an amazingly good wood carver. And so is Purna Lakshmi, who's a female wood carver. And I believe one of the only full-time, really top-notch female wood carvers that I know of.
Bungamati is actually the capital of wood carving in Nepal, right? So you've not only experienced the music here, but also the other arts and architectures as well. So how were you interested in the wood carving?
How could you not be interested in wood carving? Like, I came to Nepal, I didn't know much about it, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, I have to do this.
Yeah,
it just blew me away,
right.
seeing them working. And I was like, wow. Can I learn that? And luckily, the University of Wisconsin at that time had a program here, which was very open-ended and pretty much let us study anything, as long as we wrote a 100-page paper at the end. And so I ended up writing my paper just about Bungamati and anything I could find about it, because I spent most of my time carving wood. And then at the end, I was like, oh, I have to write my paper. But
it sounds amazing, though.
It's an amazing opportunity, and I still am connected with them, and they're like family now, because I've known them since they were little kids, and now they have kids, and their kids
So
are
this early connection in your life with Nepal's art and culture is what inspired you to do music.
I actually decided to become a professional musician when I was at Kopan doing a meditation retreat, and I was not meditating very well. I was not having empty mind. Instead, I would sometimes giggle, and I was thinking about what I really wanted in my life, and I decided I wanted to be a musician. And I was studying tabla at the time, and the more I got good at tabla, the more I wanted to play melody and rhythm again from strings, because I was a guitar player growing up. And then I decided I love to travel, and I love to be able to walk up the mountains and fly different places. So I realized a mandolin could do everything a guitar can do, but it's more travel size. And so I was sitting there pretending to be meditating on emptiness at Kopan, and I was actually thinking, yep, I'm gonna buy a mandolin as soon as I get home. That's what I'm gonna do. So my experience with a silent meditation retreat at Kopan for 2 weeks was I became a professional mandolin player.
Wow.
I don't think that's what they hope for everyone in meditation, but that was my result.
So moving to Prince, so you come from a very musical family, a family with a rich musical legacy. So how do you experiment and relate between something like this instrument right here, mandolin, and with someone lively as Tara? Like, how do you connect and balance between tradition and experimenting?
A very good question, actually. So for an artist like coming from a very folk traditional playing background, so actually my family has been very inspiring in that part, where you basically kind of like experiment with so many things. And as I told, like my grandfather, he kind of like started with some back then, like sarangi strings used to be a gut string, like made from intestine, like sheep intestine strings, and slowly, like we nowadays, I think we like really use those strings, and then in few places we do, but and then it turned into a nylon string. People do play nylon string as well at the moment, and so we moved to a metal string, which is very easier to travel with and very reliable on terms of like doing big concerts, So as we have to like mostly travel, play with a different kind of music, I kind of like crafted my own style, where I kind of like want to jam with some other musicians, and I probably like got very inspired from my father because he used to travel around and play with so many other musicians, you know. So
all over
it
the
was
world, yeah.
all over the world. I mean, he was like, I got so inspired from him.
Yeah.
So, and he used to sometimes jam with the mandolin, sometimes with the violin, and sometimes with some percussion. I mean, I saw so many musicians in my life where he kind of like connected to me, and then like.
And I think his family, all the members of his family have pioneered some of the new technology, and now it's taking off about, you know, putting a pickup on an instrument, playing it with a standing up stand, playing with a strap, playing, and the same thing with our traditional music in Appalachian, bluegrass and old time music. There will be the purists who will say, if you tune your sarongi different ways, or use, how far can you take it with pedals where it's no longer a traditional instrument? There's no right or wrong answer.
We find so many common things, you know, when you're hearing the fiddle tune, I find it's like, oh, I think I could play that in sarangi, you know.
Right.
That could be so wonderful to play, and some melodies are very connecting, like that. So like few melodies that I was learning from it, like. Doesn't, I mean, sound like Nepali song?
It sounds
so, yeah.
American folk music,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, we can do like this is an American song, so you kind of feel like it's a Nepali song as well.
Right.
You know, you have like very common thing that you can like hear, you know, from the sounds of like. So I probably find it like you have like so many wonderful melodies that you can hear like and connect together, you know.
You both are musical educators as well.
Yes,
so
I do.
how are you trying to preserve these traditional musical instruments and folk music all together?
Well, I just love to teach. I love to inspire. So I will, often people will come to me and they may even say, I want to learn rock and roll, I want to learn, and I'll say, great, we'll get to that. But first, let's try some Irish tunes and some bluegrass tunes and maybe a Nepali tune. And so I introduced them to a buffet table, is what I think of it as, of like, you know, when you go to a buffet and it has different kinds of foods. And I say, why don't we play some gypsy jazz, and we'll play some bluegrass and some old time and some Irish and some Nepali. And then you can taste the flavors. And 90% of the time, they taste some of these traditional flavors and they love it.
Yes.
And they want to play more. And I don't know about you, how would you go approach?
So I think first of all by playing, mostly inspiring people. So that's how I go first. Like first of all, I think I have to be like inspired just to play this instrument first of all, and then I can inspire other people as well.
It's not always the easiest way to make a living, music, but it's very fun.
I feel like everyone should
try it.
Try it.
Yeah.
Like just one musical instrument or go for singing.
I think, of course, I mean, if you are in Nepal and then also like any part of the world actually, you have like, I'm talking about Nepal, but you have like so many different instruments in Nepal that you can learn, and you can just like sarangi is one of them, and you have tungna, you have arbajo, you have madal, you have basuri, so many different instruments. And I think one of them should just give it a try, or just, you know, just as a hobby. I mean, it is like fantastic when you're playing music and trying to like play with other people as well, you know.
What would you like to tell the world about folk instruments and folk music? Do you want to share something to the world, and do you have a message to them?
Yeah. Play music and follow us. Buy our CDs and listen to us on Spotify, of course, and you know, all of those things.
Do you have to say something?
iTunes, whatever.
Yeah, actually, same as Tara. You just listen. I mean, have fun. Just pick up an instrument, play. You know, just get one instrument, and then I think more of it is like we're trying to do some like part of having fun is one thing, but we also kind of like inspire people like just to pick up an instrument, you know, just to have fun with it actually. So yeah,
and even just follow your passions, even if it's not music. Perhaps your passion is drawing, painting, wood carving,
I mean,
any kind of pottery. But
those things that make
create something, do something that brings you joy.
Joy, yeah, that's true.
Do something that brings you inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay, that is all for today, folks. Thank you for sharing your story and your sound with us, Prince and Tara. So it's amazing to see how music can connect worlds, from the Appalachian Trails to the Himalayan hills. So thank you. See you next time.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Pashupatinath is located in the eastern part of Kantipur city, approximately 5 kilometers away from Bagmati River. During the Lichavi period, the area surrounding Pashupatinath was known for animal rearing. This region includes Duasthali, Kuveshwari, Gaurighat, Chaba Hill, Ganeshtan, and Kotuwali, all of which are part of the Pashupatinath area. In 1979 AD, UNESCO designated Pashupatinath as a World Heritage Site. The blessings of Pashupatinath have been revered since ancient times, indicating the site's significance long before the Lichavi dynasty. The presence of Jyotirlinga, a sacred representation of Lord Shiva, is mentioned in one of the ancient texts, highlighting its historical and religious importance. In the Gopal Raj dynasty, King Supuspadev described Pashupatinath as Varna Vyavastha. Following Supuspadev, every subsequent king incorporated the name of Pashupatinath within their own names. King Vaskar Dev offered 3 kosh to Pashupatinath, Brishdev presented a Trishul, Dharmadev contributed a Brishjos, and Narendra Dev offered various kosh made from different materials. Finally, Jayadev offered a lotus to Pashupatinath. In 1473 BS, Jyoti Malla renovated Pashupatinath. The priest Nityananda initiated the removal of the 3-story structure of Pashupatinath and reduced it to a single story. Queen Ganga, the consort of Shiva Singh, had the Bhasa Bamsawali written, which is still present today. During the Malla dynasty, the offerings made by the kings to Pashupatinath can still be seen today. Among these offerings, Lord Shiva at Pashupatinath received a copper roof, and Chadi and Kamal. Finally, King Jai Singh presented a gold-made mekhla, and a grand jatra was conducted. The temple's extraordinary design is attributed to the cumulative contributions of successive kings, each leaving their mark by adding distinctive elements to its architecture. This rich history of royal patronage is a primary factor contributing to the exceptional and intricate design of this revered temple.
Nepal has numerous places and monuments of historical, archaeological, religious, cultural, and natural significance. Among them, one is Bodhanath Stupa that lies in the northeast of Kathmandu. This world-famous stupa is the property of ancient arts and culture. It is also the property of Buddhist civilization. This region, spread in about 7,630 square meter area, is about 7 kilometers far from Kathmandu Darbar Square. It is about 100 feet in radius and has a height of about 141.8 feet. Its date of construction is not yet exactly ascertained. However, some theories based on some myths, chronology, and some written scriptures of Guru Padmasambhava are popular. The stupa, which is the largest stupa in the world, is believed to be constructed with the remains of Kashyapa Buddha in it. This stupa, also considered as the symbol of Trikal Buddha's heart, harbors thousands of devotees and visitors every day. Furthermore, with the enlistment of the stupa in the UNESCO's World Heritage List, its fame has skyrocketed. Despite the fact that majority of residents around the stupa are from Tamang community, there are also people from other communities like Newar, Sherpa, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Tibetans, and so on. This very feature symbolizes unity and diversity. The history of Bodhanath Stupa. The history of its construction is still mysterious. However, different myths, chronicles regarding its establishment are popular. As per the scripture of Guru Padmasambhava, Bodhanath is called Jarong Khashor in Tibetan language. According to a myth, an angel named Purnima Gangchungma was born in earth as a punishment for stealing flour in heaven. She was born in a place in Nepal as Jajima, a daughter of poultry farmer. Later, when she grew up, she got married to a horse trader. After the birth of a son, the horse trader died. She then got married to a pig trader. After the birth of a son, the pig trader too died. Then after, she married a dog trader. He too died after the birth of a son. Finally, she got married to a poultry farmer. He too died after the birth of a son. The mother of 4 sons then got involved in poultry farm and amassed a bigger fortune. After her sons got married, she still had a bigger chunk of wealth and she decided to devote herself in religious rites. Then a thought of establishing a stupa was emerged in her mind. She then pleaded the king to allot some land to make the stupa. The king responded to her demand positively. However, a widow willing to perform a larger kind of pious work was intolerable to the wealthy people of that community. They then went to the king pleading him to stop the project. Since the king had already promised her, he denied going as per their request. Due to this reason, the word Kashwar was added to the name, which means slipped promise. And finally, it became Jarong Kashwar. In Tibetan language, Ja means a year of the bird. The construction was said to be initiated and ended in the same year of bird after 12 years. So it is believed to be called Jarong Kashwar. Jajima died 4 years after the start of the project. Then her 4 sons continued the project. Due to their pious work, those 4 sons are reincarnated as Holy King Trisong Duchen, great Buddhist preacher Shanta Rakshit, Guru Padmasambhava, and religious minister Bami Thiser in Tibet, and had worked for the establishment of Buddhism according to a myth. According to a belief, Bodhanath Stupa was constructed in around 5th century. It is said that the stupa was discovered in the era of Lichavi king Shivadev. Some Buddhists believe that, like Swayambhunath, Bodhanath was also self-created. According to a chronicle written by Daniel Wright, the stupa was constructed by King Manadeva I, which was started in 464 AD and completed in 505 AD. It was later destroyed by Mughal king and later reconstructed. It is coated with thousands of grams of gold. Water is filled in the stupa's pond in every 12 years, and in every 12 years there is a carnival to observe the Bodhanath pond. During the carnival, thousands of Buddhist devotees, either local or foreign, visit the spot to see the pond and take the water out from the pond. It is believed that whosoever sees the pond and drink water from it will have his or her illness remedied, and healthy people will gain immunity to fight against the diseases. A Chinese lama is appointed by the Guti Sansthan that belongs to the government of Nepal, whereas the Ministry of Culture and Tourism has established Bodhanath Area Development Committee that looks after Bodhanath and performs all the necessary renovations of the stupa. This stupa is based on the practice of Mahayana Buddhism. It is also taken as the symbol of Chintamani. As per the Buddhist model of construction, bricks, mud, stones, wood, copper and gold were used to construct the stupa. It has 5 layers of construction, which are considered as the 5 elements of nature that are needed for the creation. The upper portion of the stupa from the ground level is considered as the earth. The core above it is considered water. 13 Bhuvan symbolizes fire, Chatravali symbolizes air, and the topmost dome indicates the sky. There is a ring road that encircles the stupa. Buddhists encircle the shrine chanting Om Mani Padme Hum. It is believed that chanting the mantra will free oneself from all miseries and will finally achieve salvations from the heaven, hell, earth, and other places. There are 6 such places in total according to Buddhism. Different statues of Bodhisattva are placed in different parts of the stupa. Mantras are written in each statue. There are 108 different parts in the stupa, and a statue of different gods and goddesses rests in each part. There are 108 total statues placed on those parts. Its dome is considered as the symbol of the universe. The 2 eyes in each direction is called Harmika. Harmika indicates the 4 noble truths and 8 rightfold paths. These peaceful and thoughtful eyes also symbolize knowledge and measures to rid from evil. It is believed that the gaze of the eyes will rid oneself from sex, anger, greed, attachment, jealousy, gluttony, and pain, and will take the mind to bliss, non-violence, and positivity. The question mark-like symbol below the eyes symbolizes nirvana, and the dot symbolizes wisdom. There are 13 more stories above the Harmika. These 13 stories indicate the 13 places after life that Bodhisattva crosses. After the 13th story lies a gold-plated copper lotus. The flower symbolizes softness, purity, kindness. Then after lies Chatravali's, which is considered as a protector of the stupa. The top part of the stupa is considered as the symbol of Sumeru mountain, which indicates greatness. It is believed that after reaching the peak, one is supposed to attain nirvana, shunyata. Buddhist devotees pray to the shrine, seeking welfare not just for themselves but for the entire living creatures. Nepal signed the World Heritage Conservation Treaty to renovate all different cultural and religious heritages with the aid of UNESCO in 1978. By 1979, 7 places inside the Kathmandu Valley were listed in the World Heritage List. One of those 7 heritages is Bodhanath. Different festivals and jatras are celebrated in Bodhanath every year. Among them, one is Mamla Jatra. It is also called Azim Jatra. There is no authentic documentation regarding the origin of this jatra, yet oral tradition says it had begun in the 8th century after Guru Rinpoche Azim was established as the protector of this area.
यो जात्रा चाहिँ विशेष गरेर ममको स्मरणमा ममको सम्झनामा मनाउने गरिन्छ।
Likewise, a day before Chaitra Purnima, Temal Jatra is observed. This Jatra is celebrated especially by Tamang community. During this Jatra, Tamangs from Kathmandu and neighboring districts visit the place and ignite lights in the loving memory of their deceased relatives. There's a tradition of giving alms and donations after the completion of puja. They also sing Tamang Selo and dance with the song. Vaisakh Purnima celebrates Buddha Jayanti. This is the day on which Lord Buddha was born, got enlightenment, and received Mahaparinirvana. There is a special puja on this day for the same reason. In the like manner, people perform plantation of paddy as the festival during the month of July-August. This jatra is a part and parcel of Buddhist identity. People light lights in the memory of their deceased relatives on this jatra as well. On Mangsir and Paush, October, November and December, January, people celebrate the Dasami Cheju Puja related to Guru Rinpoche. Losar, which is New Year, is also celebrated in a grand way. Special carnival is observed here during Sonam Losar. Similarly, after death of a Buddhist in the area, the deceased body is taken around the mortal remains is taken around the shrine and then cremated. It is believed that taking the body around the shrine will free the deceased person from all the worldly and afterlife sufferings. These festivals and celebrations are no doubt a continuation of Buddhist culture, but are equally useful in preserving the Buddhist culture as well as for the promotion of tourism. This World Heritage Site has religious, historical and cultural significance. It is our responsibility to promote this holy place as a beautiful tourist destination for the visitors from all over the world and work for the preservation of it as well.
The gorgeous temple of Changu Narayan holds greater significance among the 4 Narayan temples located in different cardinal points of Kathmandu Valley. It is situated on a magnificent hilltop about 16 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu in the Bhaktapur district. Changu Narayan is known for its majestic temple complex, full of magnificent artworks in stone, metal, and wood. As an important heritage site of archaeological and cultural importance, with a history of nearly 1700 years, Changu Narayan was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in October 1979. By then, it also received the attention of international observers abroad. One of the first substantial epigraphic evidences of Nepalese history was found in the temple premises consecrated by Lichavi King Mandev, dating back to 464 AD. It shows that Changu Narayan was already developed as an important sacred place long before his time. There are various myths and legends regarding the origin of Changu Narayan. As detailed in the Vansavalis, Changu had already been established as a sacred site around 3rd century AD. The Ichangu inscription of Vijaya Kamdev, dated 1199 AD, informs that the temple was built by the king Haridatta Varma, happened to be 9th generations before Mandev. The time of Haridatta Varma is estimated as early as 325 AD. During Lichavi period, Changu Narayan was also known as Dola Shikhar, which refers to a mount or hill in the shape of Doli. Gopal Raj Vansavali and the Changu inscription also mention it as Changu, a Newari word that refers to swing-like hill. But the evidences show that this particular place was popular as Changu Narayan from the earliest time, and the same name exists in the society till present. This two-storied temple is of basic Nepalese design with possible emphasis given to masterful ornamentation. The temple may have passed through series of restoration. The present structure was probably constructed in the 17th century. Changunarayan is regarded as one of the masterpieces of Nepalese temple architecture. The older elements have been incorporated during the restorations.
Iran's chief negotiator and parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf struck a defiant tone on Wednesday, addressing a conference in Azerbaijan's capital Baku, broadcast live on Iranian television, where he offered Tehran's most pointed characterization yet of the landmark deal to end the Middle East war. Ghalibaf insisted the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, brokered through Pakistani mediation, was not the result of any pressure on Iran, but a product of Iranian resistance, and called for all foreign military forces, a clear reference to US bases in the region, to withdraw as a strategic goal. He also signaled an outreach to Gulf states previously targeted by Iranian strikes, saying Tehran sees the future of the region not in confrontation but in interaction, while reiterating that a lasting ceasefire in Lebanon remains a non-negotiable pillar of any final agreement with Washington.
تفاهم اسلام آباد نیز نه نتیجه فشار و اجبار بلکه حاصل مقاومت و اقتدار ملت شجاع ایران بود. تفاهمی که نشان داد گفتگو زمانی به نتیجه میرسد که طرف مقابل از تحمیل اراده خود بر یک ملت متمدن صرف نظر کرده و حقوق ما را بپذیرد. به همین جهت یادداشت تفاهم اسلام آباد تبدیل به اعلامیه شکست آمریکا شد. برای ما آتش بس در لبنان به اندازه آتش بس در ایران و در ادامه خاتمه جنگ در لبنان به اندازه خاتمه جنگ در ایران اهمیت داشته و دارد.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has outlined Washington's vision for Iran's future, saying the country could unlock significant opportunities for growth and prosperity if its leadership chooses to abandon support for militant activities abroad and act as a nation focused on development. Speaking to reporters, Rubio stressed, however, that any progress in relations would depend on Iran taking meaningful steps to address a range of security concerns that remain critical to regional and international stability in the coming days.
If Iran makes a decision, if its leadership makes a decision that they want to be a country instead of a revolutionary movement that exports terror, they're going to have an opportunity to do incredible things in Iran. I'm not promising you that that's the choice they're going to make. I'm saying if that's the choice that they make, then there will be opportunities, and those opportunities could include investment, as you've seen other countries in this region benefit from investment, from foreign direct investment. It won't be our investment, it won't be our government money, but I think that is something that's going to have to depend on progress made on a host of other security issues that have to be confronted in the days to come.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian touched down in Islamabad on Tuesday for a high-profile state visit, his first overseas trip since the United States and Israel launched strikes on Iran on February 28, receiving a full ceremonial guard of honor upon arrival before sitting down for talks with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. The visit is widely viewed as an expression of gratitude for Pakistan's pivotal role in brokering the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding signed on June 18, which launched the formal diplomatic process now underway, with Prime Minister Sharif himself signing the document as a mediator. The two sides discussed a full spectrum of bilateral relations, exploring new avenues to deepen cooperation across trade, energy, border security, people-to-people exchanges, and regional connectivity. The Islamabad talks also aimed at ensuring the strict implementation of the 14-point Memorandum of Understanding as technical teams simultaneously work in Switzerland to finalize details of a 60-day roadmap toward a permanent end to the Iran war. Chinese Premier Li Chang used the global stage of Summer Davos today to deliver a stark warning about the dangers of unregulated artificial intelligence, speaking at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting of the new champions in the northeastern port city of Dalian. Li acknowledged that AI has boosted innovation efficiency, but stressed that fears are growing over AI-driven disruption to labor markets and the security risks it poses from its use in conflict to breaches of cyber defenses and the potential creation of new bioweapons.
其技术进步速度之快，前所未有。同时，不可控的问题也在显著上升。特别是人工智能，大家知道，人工智能的发展提升了创新的效率，各类前沿突破层出不穷。有人说，人类已经步入了智能时代的寒武纪，但是我们不能不看到，技术失控、伦理失范 等风险在当下技术发展当中也更加凸显。如果相关治理没有跟得上，就可能导致严重的后果。
He also pushed back against Western narratives of a China shock, insisting that what China's technologies bring to the world is not a shock but an opportunity, not a threat but empowerment. China's top diplomat Wang Yi used the 16th meeting of BRICS national security advisors in New Delhi on Tuesday to deliver a pointed message about the international order, saying the US-Iran conflict, which has lasted over 100 days, has severely impacted the regional and international situation and laid bare the fragility of global rules. Wang outlined 4 lessons the world must draw from the conflict: the importance of upholding international rules, respecting national sovereignty, establishing a new vision of security, and understanding the growing role of unconventional warfare in modern conflicts. On international rules, he was direct, saying that the law of the jungle may succeed for a while, but it is not sustainable, while on sovereignty, he stressed that territorial integrity must not be violated, and interference in a country's internal affairs crosses the most basic bottom line of international justice. He also warned that seeking absolute security at the expense of others will only backfire in what was widely read as an implicit rebuke of US unilateral military action in the region. Wang closed by calling on BRICS nations to deepen dialogue and cooperation on security affairs, pointing to the rise of information warfare and cyber warfare as new and increasingly visible threats that demand collective attention. Far-right outsider Abelardo de la Espriella has won Colombia's presidential runoff in the tightest election in the country's history, defeating left-wing Senator Ivan Cepeda by less than 1 percentage point, 49.66% to 48.70%, a margin of roughly 250,000 votes, with de la Espriella becoming the most voted presidential candidate in Colombian history with 12.9 million votes. Outgoing President Gustavo Petro, whose candidate Cepeda lost, alleged hacking of election software by Israel in order to cast fraudulent ballots in favor of de la Espriella, claims that were swiftly and firmly rejected by international observers. The European Union's Electoral Observation Mission, led by Esteban González Pons, Vice President of the European Parliament, confirmed that the vote scrutiny process was confirming the results of the preliminary count, with the result system based on manually processed tally sheets, providing full traceability, safeguards, and rapid digital publication. González Pons stressed that no candidate or campaign had reported any irregularity to the mission and warned that while the president had made accusation, none of the candidates themselves had raised any objections to the results. De la Espriella, a lawyer and political newcomer with no prior elected office, is set to take power on July 20, Colombia's constitutionally mandated inauguration date. France is in the grip of a historic and deadly heat wave, with the country recording its highest ever average maximum national temperature on Tuesday, the heat index reaching 38.2 degrees Celsius on June 23, surpassing the previous record of 37.7 degrees Celsius set during the catastrophic heat wave of August 2003. More than 90% of the French population is now exposed to extreme temperatures, with Wednesday forecast to bring readings at 39 degrees Celsius to 41 degrees Celsius, stretching from Brittany in the northwest to the Paris region and much of the southwest, with 31 departments currently on orange alert. The extreme heat has disrupted daily life across the country, forcing school closures, train cancellations, and the early closure of iconic landmarks, including the Eiffel Tower, leaving one American tourist telling reporters the shutdown hurt their vacation, having booked her tickets 2 months in advance. Emergency health services at Toulouse University Hospital say they are holding up for now, crediting improved preparedness since the deadly 2003 heat wave, but medical staff have warned of a feared influx of patients once the relentless heat begins to wear down people's resilience. With temperatures set to climb further through the week, French authorities are urging citizens to take all necessary precautions as the country braces for what could be one of its most punishing summers on record. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un attended a commissioning ceremony on Tuesday in the port city of Nampo, marking the official induction of the Choihyun, one of two 5,000-ton class warships launched last year into the country's naval fleet. The ceremony, broadcast by North Korean state media, underscored Pyongyang's accelerating push to modernize and expand its military capabilities on the seas. In a striking announcement during the event, Kim declared plans to equip North Korea's navy with nuclear weapons, a move that would mark a significant and alarming escalation in the country's already provocative arsenal. He also revealed ambitions to build even larger warships, signaling that Pyongyang's naval expansion is far from its peak. The developments will almost certainly deepen concern among regional powers and the international community as North Korea continues to press forward with a military buildup that shows no signs of slowing down. South Australia has recorded its first ever confirmed case of H5 bird flu after authorities detected the deadly virus in a migratory bird found on the Fleurieu Peninsula south of Adelaide, marking the third confirmed case in Australia overall, following two earlier detections in Western Australia near Esperance. The bird was picked up by a wildlife organisation on June 14th, with samples taken by the Department of Primary Industries on June 19th, with results confirmed on June 24. Premier Peter Malinauskas, standing alongside Federal Agriculture Minister Julie Collins, said it was unlikely the South Australian case was linked to the two birds already confirmed in Western Australia, suggesting the virus may be spreading independently through migratory bird populations. A second bird found alongside the confirmed case has tested negative, and authorities noted that more than 770 tests have been conducted across South Australia since the start of the year, making this the first positive result from that surveillance effort. State and federal authorities say they will continue testing and sampling birds across the country as they work to stay across the virus and prevent any further spread. The southwest monsoon arrived in Mumbai on Tuesday, marking a 13-day delay from its normal onset date of June 10 or 11, tying as the third most delayed monsoon arrival in the city since 1951, matching a record last set in 1974. Heavy overnight rainfall of up to 208 mm lashed the western suburbs, causing severe waterlogging in low-lying areas including Andheri and Hindamata, flooding subways and disrupting central railway services, with visuals of people wading through knee-deep flood waters spreading widely across social media. The delayed arrival had already pushed Mumbai to the brink by mid-June. The city's 7 reservoirs were only 10.35% full, prompting the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation BMC to impose a 10% water cut for homes and a 20% cut for commercial uses, while banning the use of drinking water for swimming pools, car washing and construction sites. Experts point to a troubling combination of a weak El Nino-influenced monsoon, an aging water distribution network riddled with leakages, and the city's exponential growth in high-rises and data centers that has vastly outpaced Mumbai's designed water capacity. While the rains have finally arrived and brought some relief from the sweltering heat, the city's infrastructure and its 20 million residents now brace for the dual challenge of managing floods today and a potential water crisis tomorrow. Silent prayer vigils, cautiously worded protest banners and t-shirts pleading for neighborhoods to be spared. Hanoi residents are showing rare public opposition to a massive redevelopment scheme that could displace hundreds of thousands as authorities in Vietnam's capital knock down thousands of homes to make way for bridges and other infrastructure projects under a 100-year master plan approved last month. One 11,000-hectare area along the Red River, roughly the size of Paris, is slated to become a network of high-end residential complexes and parks with roughly 250,000 residents relocated, though state media has reported the overall figure displaced could reach as many as 860,000. With 7 new bridges planned and more than 1,200 kilometers of metro and rail lines, the entire redevelopment is expected to cost more than $2.5 trillion over 2 decades, part of top leader To Lam's declared new growth model aimed at making Vietnam a developed nation by 2030. 2045. Large-scale protests are rare in Vietnam, where communist authorities broke little dissent. Residents have deliberately kept their language cautious, avoiding words like protest or against, yet authorities have still asked some to take the banners down. Every spring, the tiny Croatian village of Čigoč transforms into one of nature's most charming spectacles as flocks of storks descend upon the settlement and promptly outnumber its human residents. The arrival of these elegant birds has earned Čigoč the endearing title of Stork Village, with their annual return long celebrated as a powerful symbol of the changing seasons. For generations, locals have welcomed the storks with open arms, viewing them as a sign of good fortune, fertility, and prosperity, a living tradition that connects the village to something far older than memory. In Čigoč, spring doesn't truly begin with the calendar, it begins with wings. Today, June 24, 2026, the football world pauses to wish the greatest of all time a very happy 39th birthday as Lionel Messi celebrates his milestone on a rest day in Kansas, where Argentina are based for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The timing could hardly be more special. Messi arrives at this birthday in outstanding form, having already scored 5 goals for the tournament and becoming the all-time leading goal scorer in World Cup history with 18 goals across 6 incredible editions. Back home in Argentina, fans have launched a nationwide social media campaign under the hashtag #CompleLeo, encouraging people to sing happy birthday to their captain at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. in classrooms, at work, on the bus, wherever they are. Even Google joined the celebrations, greeting users worldwide with vibrant glitter and a floating football emblem when they search his name, a tribute that has already generated over 10 million interactions. From a 13-year-old boy whose future was signed away on a napkin in Barcelona to the man who lifted the World Cup in Qatar in 2022, Messi's journey from the streets of Rosario to the summit of football history is a story that comes around only once in a lifetime. Happy birthday, Leo.
Votekosi and Trisuli river rafting. Rafting has lately been gaining popularity among tourists. The adventure sport, which previously was popular only among foreigners, is now drawing the local tourists as well. Trisuli and Votekosi rivers that are close to Kathmandu are two popular destinations for rafting in Bagmati province. Let us first explore Votekosi. Whitewater rafting at Votekosi river is included among the 10 best adventure destinations for rafting in the world. Votekosi, which is well facilitated with food and accommodation, can be a great destination for rafting and other adventure sports. Rafting at Trisuli river is popular among domestic tourists, as the location can be reached in an hour from Kathmandu. This is where most tourists go for rafting in Nepal. Rafting packages of Votekosi and Trisuli are appropriate for those who want to spend some good time for a few days. Nepal is a cultural, religious and a natural heaven for tourists with various adventurous attractions on offer. Nepal is undoubtedly one of the best tourism destinations in the world. Numerous UNESCO World Heritage Sites and conservation areas are some of the major attractions for tourists in Nepal. In addition, the natural, cultural and religious uniqueness of the country has been drawing large number of foreign tourists. Every place on earth has its own geography, cultural identity, environment, food and lifestyle. They collectively become the identity of the place. Especially the places attracting tourists got to have their own diversity and uniqueness. Madhya Province is one such place with its unique cultural identity and geography. A historic province of Nepal, special for religious, cultural and trade activities, geographically total flat land, and the province with the pious land of Janakpur Dham. Some of the major destinations in Madhya Province are Janakpur Dham, Parsa Wildlife Reserve, Salhes Garden, Gadimai, Jaleswarnath Mahadev. Madhya Province has an illustrious past as the capital of the ancient Mithila kingdom with archaeological heritages of the era, cultural and religious destinations. The province has special importance in the overall trade and transit of Nepal with the entire province in the Tarai Plains. The province is very important for tourism in Nepal, though appears to be slightly backward in social, educational and health awareness. The province has 4 domestic airports. The under construction Kathmandu-Nizhgard fast track and the international airport at Nizhgard will definitely open doors for its prosperity through tourism. All the tourism destinations are well equipped in terms of infrastructures, but some await road network connection. The need to explore new destinations and promote the existing ones has been long felt. These are some of the major tourism destinations of Province 2, which draw hundreds of thousands of tourists every year. The Janaki Temple. The Janaki Temple, in the birthplace of Sita, the better half of Lord Rama, is a pious place for Hindus. The famous temple in itself is an epitome of ancient Mithila art and culture. The temple, built in Mughal architecture, is believed to have been built by the then Princess of Tikamani of Madhya Pradesh in India by spending over 900,000 silver coins, a whopping sum at that time. Thus, the temple is also known as Naulakha Temple. The construction of the temple took almost 17 years, from 1894 to 1911. The Janaki Temple is the pride of the Mithila and a cultural heritage. All rituals from birth to death are conducted as per Mithila culture in this place. Major religious fairs take place annually in Janakpur Dham, including on Ram Navami, the birthday of Lord Rama, full moon day of Nepali month of Asuz, Kozagrat Purnima, Bibaha Panchami, and famous Jhula in Fagun. This massive temple is not just a heritage for Nepalese, but for all the Hindus across the world. Janaki Temple stands out as the place drawing most number of tourists in Madhya province every year. Chinnamasta. The revered Chinnamasta shrine is at Sakhara village towards the southern border of Chinnamasta from Saptari's district headquarters Rajbiras. Chinnamasta is one of the revered shrines known for fulfilling worshippers' wishes. The shrine is about 10 kilometers drive from Rajbiras. Large number of devotees throngs the deity's shrine in Dasai festival. Of the religious tourists here are either domestic or from India. The history of Chinnamasta deity's shrine, with immense religious tourism potential, is connected to the history of Simrongarh. Parsa National Park. The Parsa National Park along the border of Parsa, Bara and Makwanpur districts is the youngest national park in the country. The earlier wildlife reserve has been transformed now into a national park. Parsa National Park is a perfect destination for those tourists interested in wildlife. The national park is well known for the local wild elephants. Parsa National Park is home to some exotic wild animals including the Barasinga, blue bulls and the Bengal tigers. Likewise, birds including very rare spiny babbler, cranes and reptiles like pythons are found here. The number of domestic as well as foreign tourists visiting the national park has increased after development of tourism infrastructures in the area. One can reach Parsa National Park in around 6 hours drive from Kathmandu. Spread across Chitwan, Makwanpur and Parsa districts, the Parsa National Park is home to some endangered wild animals and birds. The major attractions here are Bengal tiger, one-horned rhinos, wild elephants, leopards, Gaur bison or the Gaurigai, among others. Dhanusadham. The Dhanus temple at Dhanusadham municipality of Dhanusa district is an important tourism destination of Madhya province. Mythological belief says this is the very place where Lord Rama had broken the bow of Lord Shiva to win the hand of goddess Sita. It is believed that the Pinak bow of Lord Shiva broke into 3 pieces when Lord Rama tried to fix the string on it. According to the famous Hindu scripture Ramayana, one of the pieces went to the sky, another went to the netherworld, and one dropped on earth here at Dhanusadham. The Dhanush temple is just 15 kilometers drive from the Janakpur Dham. The name of the place has been derived as Dhanusadham from the legend of Ramayana, and also the district known as Dhanusa. As per popular belief, the one who sees the piece of bow will be eternally blessed. Birganj is Nepal's major business center. Not just known for trade and commerce, Birganj of Parsa district also draws a lot of tourists. Gararwa Pond, Sankaracharya Gate, Ghantaghar are some of the other engagements for tourists in Birganj. Gariharwa Pond, the site of offering prayers to the sun god, is a sight to behold during Chhath festival. There is a temple of sun god in the middle of the pond. Gadimai. Gadimai is a revered shrine of deity at Bara district, known around the world for massive animal sacrifice every 5 years. The month-long religious fair takes place every 5 years. Gadimai is just around 8 kilometers drive from Kalaya, the district headquarters of Bara. Jaleshwar Mahadev. The only temple in the world in Mautari district housing Mahashivalinga underwater, center of faith of the Hindus, the gateway to Mithila. The attractions here are the Mahashivalinga, the cave in the temple, and the annual fair on Sivaratri. One can reach here by easy road travel from Kathmandu to Jaleshwar. One can reach the Salahis garden just 3 kilometers ride from Lahan Bazar of Lahan municipality in Siraha district. Every tourism destination in Madhya province has its own speciality. Almost all these destinations are awaiting promotion, at the same time developing necessary infrastructure to promote tourism here has its own challenges. Tourism could be the road to prosperity for province too, if only the government pays little more attention in developing and promoting potential destinations. Compared to some other provinces, it has much higher tourism potential. Upgrading the dilapidated roads and highways is important, in addition to operating regular air services. The province and ultimately the country can reap the benefits of tourism if only the slogan of guests are gods can be better implemented.
हिरण्यबाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतये उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः।
Actually, when I was 16, back in 2015, I was at a music festival. This music is called bluegrass that I play, and I was at this bluegrass festival, and this person named Tara Linhart. She is amazing. You can talk to her more, but she had a fantastic project called the Mountain Music Project. And I heard this project of Nepali musicians and bluegrass musicians coming together and fusing the music And I thought it was really, really cool to see this cross-cultural collaboration. But I really just wanted to get back to music. And so I reached out to Tara. I had an opportunity to get some funding. And I emailed her randomly. She was in Bhutan at the time. And I said, hey, I want to set up a music project in Nepal. Can you connect me with some of your buddies? And she got on a WhatsApp call and started giving me the lowdown of how awesome it was. One of the people she introduced me to was actually Prince's father, Sham Nepali. And we met in New Hampshire. And we jammed together and had a great time. And he said, oh, when you get to Nepal, you have to meet my son. He's so great. He'll play music. You'll play music together. I was like, yeah, whatever, okay. Like, every dad is going to say that about their son. Like, is it going to be great? Well, then 3 months later, I showed up in Nepal, and I had only brought a mandolin, and I wanted a guitar to write some songs on. So I called up Shamdai, and I said, hey, can I borrow a guitar? He said, yes, come meet my son. And so I met Prince in Kirtipur, and we started playing that day. And then we sat down and we started playing, and it was just like magic. It was just sort of this instant connection. That was pretty special and crazy to me that we grew up on opposite sides of the world, and there are American musicians who I don't vibe with. We don't have a connection. But me and Prince, it was just an instant connection. And so we started jamming together.
It's a love song that my great-grandfather composed. And we're going to fuse with another bluegrass love song. सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी चस्मे दाजु झिल्के मिल्के जुल्फी मात्र कोर्ने चस्मे दाजु झिल्के मिल्के जुल्फी मात्र कोर्ने दारी जुङ्गा दन्त देखाई मेरो मन चोर्ने दारी जुङ्गा दन्त देखाई मेरो मन चोर्ने नजिस्काउन हे परुलाई हाय सिबर काकी छोरीलाई नजिस्काउन हे परुलाई हाय सिबर काकी छोरीलाई सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी जन्म दिने भगवान त हुर्काइदिने आमा जन्म दिने भगवान त हुर्काइदिने आमा कसले हेर यति राम्रो पहिराइदियो जमा कसले हेर यति राम्रो पहिराइदियो जमा सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति
कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी सानी सानी झुल्केन नि कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल
She was living in a lonely cabin with son by another man. 5 years she had waited for him as long as a woman can, as long as a woman can. And I don't know what changed my mind, till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. Day to help her till the lands. In the afternoon we planted seeds, in the evening we held hands, in the evening we held hands. And her blue eyes told me everything that a man could want to know. It was then I realized I would never go, I would never go. And I don't know what changed my mind, till then I was a rambling kind of love explain that I had for Nellie Kane. We've grown up tall. I became a father to him, and she became my all. She became my all. And I don't know what changed my mind, till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. No, I don't know what changed my mind, till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. Well, first of all, I just fell in love with Nepali culture. I love momos, I love dal bhat, I love it all. I love this beautiful country. I think our message to the world, one of them is that we want to show more people the beautifulness of Nepal. I think that from my perspective, I love Nepali folk music, but in this country, sometimes people haven't valued it. They've looked to the West for other influences. And so one of our goals is to bring up Nepali folk and fusing it. We're not just doing pure folk music, but to show that this is a vibrant, evolving history and tradition that is still relevant today. And then I also think to people abroad, and especially to Nepalis, I want to show them that they can take their instruments and their culture and they can bring it to the world, and that it's so amazing. I mean, everyone who I know that maybe they don't know so much about Nepal, maybe the only thing they know is that Mount Everest is there. But then once they try a momo, once they hear some music, then they love it. And so we want to just share this music with more people and share the cross-cultural collaboration. I know I've been saying this for a couple of years now, but because we recorded an EP for one day, and then I've been gone from Nepal for the last year, and the hard drive just sat, and no one did anything with the files yet. So we finally got the files going, and we are finally working on our debut EP that will feature a lot of these songs, including the next one, which is one I wrote a couple of years ago.
Cause all day I chugga way at work and try to shove down all of the hurt, but sometimes at the end doesn't fit on the page, and my eyes just run a glaze. rugged, snowy road. And I say, hallelujah, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And I say, hallelujah, let it burn, let it burn. And I say, hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. And I say, hallelujah, I'm on fire, I'm on fire. And I say, hallelujah, let it burn, let it burn. And I say, hallelujah, 'cause I can finally feel something instead of just nothing at all. Cause when the night burns cold, it's when I lose my mind. No, I can't bear this endless ticking of time.
Well, right now we really want to go abroad, and in particular, my dream is to bring the band to the U.S., to these festivals that I grew up going to, because I think it's so cool. I love playing the music that I grew up with, but with tabla on it, and the beat is dropping. It's so awesome. But right now we've been having a little bit of trouble figuring out with the visas, especially right now. So we're working on that. And then also being abroad. It's very difficult when I've moved back to the US recently. And so when we're far away, it's hard we can't make music in the same way. But it also means that the times when we are together, I've been back for a month, are just extra special because we get to make music together.
Robbie Lamechane elected unopposed as RSP president at first general convention. 384 candidates compete for 99 central committee posts. Vaccine shortage at Peri Hospital leaves victims struggling for treatment with added cost as free anti-rabies vaccine stocks run out. Bird flu spreads to 90 locations across 11 districts of Nepal. Authorities launch control measures as outbreak reaches Kathmandu Valley. Iran says peace agreement reflects resistance rather than pressure from foreign powers. Tehran calls for troop withdrawal. France records all-time temperature high. Authorities issue alerts while heat disrupts travel, schools and public services. And Bosnia and Herzegovina face Qatar, Switzerland meet Canada, Brazil takes Scotland, Morocco play Haiti, South Korea clash South Africa.
Good evening, I'm Suveksha Rajak and you're watching NTV World News Hour, coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in details. 9 ministers have filed their candidacies for the central members in the ongoing first general convention of Rashtriya Swatantra Party RSP in Chitwan. As per the first list made public by the Election Commission, Finance Minister Dr. Swarnim Wagle has filed his candidacy under the open category from Gandaki province. The candidacy of Minister for Education and Sports Sashmit Pokhrel is also under the open category. Foreign Minister Dr. Shishir Khanal is also vying under open category, while Minister for Energy, Hydropower and Irrigation Biraj Bhakta Shrestha under open category from Bagmati province. Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Sobita Gautam is applying for a central member from Bagmati province. Minister for Women, Children, Gender and Sexual Minorities and Social Security Sita Badi is applying under category of Geography, Karnali province. Minister for Health and Food Security Nisha Mehta under the category of Geography, Koshi province. Minister for Agriculture, Forest and Environment Geeta Chaudhary under the open category Pashchim province, and Minister for Youth, Labour and Employment Ramji Yadav under the open category Madesi cluster. Voting process has been forwarded for the central members in the General Convention. The initial list made public stated that 384 persons have applied for the central members. PM Balan Shah returned Kathmandu today itself without voting, while Rabi Lamichhane was elected as the president unopposed. Now in the other news, a shortage of anti-rabies vaccine in Nepal is creating serious concern as demand rises ahead of the monsoon season, when infection risks are higher. Health officials say more than 100 people die from rabies each year, and the vaccine is considered a life-saving treatment, especially in rural areas. In Sudur Pashchim province, ARV supplies have been unavailable since mid-May, forcing patients bitten by dogs, monkeys and other animals to buy vaccines from private pharmacies to travel to Kathmandu. At Bheri Hospital in Nepalganj, hundreds of patients are also affected, with over 100 people visiting daily, but many unable to receive free doses due to exhausted stocks. Authorities say the shortage is caused by rising demand and insufficient supply from federal and provincial distribution centers, with free vaccine expected to resume once new stocks arrive. Bird flu outbreak is spreading across Nepal, with confirmed cases reported in 90 locations across 11 districts. The Department of Livestock Services says the disease, first detected in Morang in March, has now spread to major districts including Kathmandu Valley, Thapa, Chitwan and others. Authorities have urged residents, especially in the Kathmandu Valley, to stay alert as the outbreak continues to expand. A central bird flu control unit has been formed to coordinate response efforts across federal, provincial and local levels. So far, over 569,000 birds, nearly 990,000 eggs and large quantities of poultry feed have been destroyed to contain the spread. Iran's parliamentary speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf says deal to end the war with US was not the result of pressure and coercion. Ghalibaf, addressing a conference in Azerbaijan's capital Baku, offered Tehran's most pointed characterization yet of the landmark deal to end the Middle East war. Ghalibaf insisted the Islamabad Memorandum of Understanding, brokered through Pakistani mediation, was not the result of any pressure on Iran, but a product of Iranian residents, and called for all foreign military forces, a clear reference to US bases in the region, to withdraw as a strategic goal. He also signaled an outreach to Gulf states previously targeted by Iranian strikes, saying Tehran sees the future of the region not in confrontation but in interaction, while reiterating what a lasting ceasefire in Lebanon remains a non-negotiable pillar of any final agreement with Washington. Now in the other news, France is experiencing a historic heat wave after recording its highest ever average national maximum temperature of 38.2 degrees Celsius. The new record surpasses the previous mark set during the devastating 203 heat wave and comes as more than 90% of the population faces extreme temperatures. Forecasters expect temperatures between 39 and 41 degrees Celsius across large parts of the country, with dozens of departments placed on high alert. The intense heat has disrupted daily life, leading to school closures, train cancellations, and the temporary closure of major tourist attractions, including the Eiffel Tower. Health officials say hospitals remain prepared, but medical workers are concerned that prolonged exposure to extreme temperatures could trigger a surge in heat-related illness in the coming days. The southwest monsoon has finally arrived in Mumbai, reaching the city 13 days later than its normal onset date and matching one of the most delayed arrivals on record. Heavy overnight rainfall inundated several parts of the city, causing severe waterlogging in low-lying areas, flooding subways and disrupting railway services. Images of residents moving through knee-deep floodwaters quickly spread across social media as authorities worked to manage the situation. Before the rains arrived, water levels in Mumbai's reservoirs have fallen to just over 10% of capacity, prompting officials to impose water use restrictions for households and businesses. Experts say the city faces a growing challenge from aging infrastructure, rising water demand, and climate-related weather extremes, rising concerns over both flooding and future water shortages. Portugal secured a dominant 5-0 victory over Uzbekistan in the FIFA World Cup 2026, with Cristiano Ronaldo scoring tries to silence critics after a slow start to the tournament. Cristiano Ronaldo led the charge as Nuno Mendes and Rafael Leao also scored, along with the own goal, helping Portugal strengthen their chances of reaching the knockout stage. Uzbekistan suffered a second straight defeat and are now eliminated from the maiden World Cup campaign. Elsewhere, Ghana held England to a goalless draw in Boston, while Croatia edged Panama 1-0 in Luka Modric's 200th international appearance, with Ante Budimir scoring the winner. Looking ahead, Bosnia and Herzegovina face Qatar, Switzerland meet Canada, Brazil take on Scotland, Morocco play Haiti, and South Korea clash with South Africa in upcoming group matches. Rabies remains a deadly public health threat in Nepal, with anti-rabies vaccine shortages worsening the crisis ahead of the monsoon season. Patients across multiple provinces are being forced to buy vaccines privately or travel a long distances as free government supplies run out. Detailed look on this after the break in our Issue of the Day segment. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. And it's time for our issue of the day. Every year, more than 100 people die of rabies, transmitted by bites from animals in Nepal. Anti-rabies vaccine, ARV, is a lifesaver for thousands in the country, mostly in rural areas. However, the country is going through an acute shortage of the life-saving drug ahead of the monsoon, when the infection is effectively higher. A report.
The demand for anti-rabies vaccination at Skuraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital in Kathmandu has risen. The crowd has increased because hospitals in districts and provinces are facing acute shortage of the vaccine. According to hospital statistics, around 200 new service seekers arrive daily to receive the anti-rabies vaccine or the ARV. Since the vaccine requires 3-4 doses, including follow-up visits, around 600 people visit the Teku-based hospital every day for this vaccine. While some hospitals have managed vaccine supplies and continue providing services, provincial and district-level hospitals lacking vaccines have made it difficult for the public. This is forcing many people to travel to federal capital Kathmandu-based Sukraraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital.
बजारमा फैलिरहेको छ भ्याक्सिनको अभाव छ भन्ने कुरा यस अस्पतालमा आएका आजसम्म आएका बिरामीहरू चाहिँ कुनै पनि भ्याक्सिन नपाइकन फर्केको अवस्था छैन.
Doctors say since rabies is a fatal disease, once bitten, people should get vaccinated as early as possible. But the scarcity of vaccine in provincial hospitals is exposing public to serious health hazard.
जनावरले टोक्यो र मानिसले समयमा रेबिस विरुद्धको भ्याक्सिन चाहिँ लगायो भने हामी रेबिस विरुद्ध 100% जोगिन सक्छौं.
According to government statistics, around 100 people die from rabies each year in Nepal. According to statistics received from Sukraraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital, around 20 people are admitted in the hospital annually. This appalling data comes in the backdrop of country's target of eliminating rabies by 2030. With camera person Anup Khimire, Sabika Shrestha, NTV World.
A shortage of anti-rabies vaccine ARV in Sudur Paschim province has forced people bitten by dogs, monkeys and other animals to purchase the vaccine from private pharmacies or rush to Kathmandu. The ARV vaccine, which is normally provided free of cost by the government, has been unavailable in most health facilities across the province since the first week of mid-May. Here's a report by our local correspondent, Dinesh Bister.
The shortage of anti-rabies vaccines in Sudur Paschim province has emerged as a serious public health concern. The federal government has not supplied any new anti-rabies vaccines ARV to the province since January. As free vaccines are no longer available at hospitals and primary healthcare centers, many citizens are being forced to bear additional financial burdens. The stock procured within the allocated budget of 6.2 million Nepali rupees by the provincial government lasted only until mid-May. Since then, shortages of both vaccines and funding have affected health facilities across the province. As a result, patients exposed to animal bites are being advised to purchase vaccines from private pharmacies. Rabies is fatal and anti-rabies vaccination must be administered as soon as possible after an animal bite. However, the current shortage reflects a concerning lack of attention to a critical public health issue. Amid the growing crisis, the Sudur Paschim Provincial Health Supply Management System reports it has been out of vaccine stock for nearly a month. According to the center, budget constraints have forced it to request provincial and local governments to arrange vaccine supplies using their own resources.
मागदेखि चाहिँ संघीय सरकारबाट आपूर्ति नभएको अवस्था छ भने हामी प्रदेश सरकारले पनि 62 लाख रुपैयाँ चाहिँ विनियोजन गरेको छ र यस प्रदेश स्वास्थ्य आपूर्ति व्यवस्थापन केन्द्रले पनि सो रकमको गत कार्तिकमै टेन्डर आह्वान गरेर सो सम्बन्धी खोपहरू चाहिँ आपूर्ति गरेर अहिलेसम्म जेठको पहिलो सप्ताहसम्म चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ त्यो अतिरिक्त जुन हामीले यताबाट खरिद व्यवस्थापन गरेको थियौँ त्यसले चाहिँ धानेको थियो अहिले चाहिँ अझै पनि माथि विभागबाट चाहिँ अथवा संघीय सरकारबाट चाहिँ खोप प्राप्त नभएकोले चाहिँ अहिले सबै ठाउँ चाहिँ अभाव भएको देखिन्छ.
Where the federal supplies failing to arrive on time and provincial funds already exhausted, citizens are being compelled to purchase a life-saving vaccine that should otherwise be available free of charge. Given the fatal nature of rabies, authorities must act urgently to ensure the immediate access of vaccines and establish a sustainable long-term supply management system to prevent shortages in the future.
A severe shortage of anti-rabies vaccines at various hospitals in Nepalganj has left hundreds of dog bite victims struggling to access treatment. Hospital officials say more than 100 people visit the facility every day seeking vaccination, but many are being forced to purchase doses from private sources.
नेपाल सरकारले नै भेरी अस्पताललाई उपलब्ध गराउने यो भ्याक्सिन हो तर बीचमा चाहिँ अब त्यहाँ पनि क्राइसिस भयो भ्याक्सिनहरु भएन र अहिले चाहिँ हामीले विशेष रूपले चाहिँ बिरामीलाई नै चाहिँ चाहियो भने चाहिँ भ्याक्सिन हाम्रा कर्मचारीहरूले लगाइदिन्छन्.
According to hospital authorities, rising patient numbers and insufficient vaccine supplies from federal and provincial distribution centers have contributed to the shortage.
भ्याक्सिन अब पहिला चाहिँ निशुल्क दिने छ हैन प्रदेश आपूर्तिबाट आउने कुरो त्यहाँ प्रदेश आपूर्ति नै नभएर यसपालि लगभग एकदम थोरै मात्रामा आयो.
Officials say existing stocks have been completely exhausted and the hospital can only provide the vaccines it receives through government supply channels. The shortage has triggered frustration among patients, with some confronting hospital staff after learning that free anti-rabies vaccinations are currently unavailable. The hospital says free vaccination service will resume only after new supplies arrive. Now, in this context, in our Public Pulse segment, we ask patients what problems have they faced due to shortage of anti-rabies vaccines. Let's have a look.
Daily hospital bata निशुल्क रूपमा उपलब्ध भइरहेछ भन्ने थाहा पाउँथ्यौं र कुकुरहरूले बिरालोहरू टोक्दाखेरि निशुल्क पाएको अनुभव पनि छ. अहिलेको अवस्थामा बुझ्दाखेरि यो एकदमै विकराल अवस्थामा भइसकेको छ.
भेरी हस्पिटलमा गएपछि के भन्नुहुन्छ भने चाहिँ त्यहाँको डाक्टरले चाहिँ हामीसँग चाहिँ रेबिसको सुई छैन, माथिबाट नि पठाएको छैन, तपाई प्रशासनमा जानुस्, प्रशासनमा जे गर्नुहुन्छ त्यही गर्नुस्.
यो भेरी हस्पिटल भनेको धेरै ठुलो हस्पिटल हो, पुरानो हस्पिटल पनि हो. त्यसमा चाहिँ हामीले सेवा सुविधा राम्रो पाउनु पर्ने थियो तर रेबिसको सुई किनेर लगाएन हामी.
पाउनु नपाइरहेको अवस्था पनि हुन सक्छ. त्यसकारणले राज्यले निशुल्क दिने सुईलाई अहिले हरेक क्षेत्रतिर चारैतिर यस्तो समस्या उत्पन्न हुँदाखेरि यसलाई राज्यले समयमै व्यवस्थापन गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने मेरो भनाइ रहेको छ.
रेबिसका कुरालाई हेर्ने हो भने विकराल अवस्था छ, किनभने यो अति गर्मी ठाउँ र यसमा चाहिँ हस्पिटलबाट चाहिँ सेवा सुविधा र यो सब्सिडीमा पाउने चाहिँ भ्याक्सिनका कुराहरू चाहिँ नहुँदाखेरि यहाँका सर्वसाधारणलाई साह्रै समस्या परेको छ.
With bird flu infection spreading to 90 locations across 11 districts of Nepal, the public is asking the same question. Is it safe to eat chicken meat and eggs? Can the infection spread to humans? What precautions should be taken from home to kitchen?
As bird flu infection intensify, every kitchen across the country is in a dilemma whether to stop consuming chicken. But experts advise not to stop eating meat and eggs, but to avoid consuming them raw or undercooked. Although bird flu has spread across 11 districts in Nepal and millions of birds have been destroyed, the disease does not directly transmit to humans. However, precaution is essential. Since the outbreak began in Morung on March 17, it has now spread to 90 places in 11 districts. To control the infection, more than 570,000 birds have been destroyed, and about 990,000 eggs and 195,000 kilograms of feed have been safely managed, according to the Department of Livestock Services.
जसले त्यो मासु पकाउनुहुन्छ उहाँले सकेसम्म त्यो नानो हातले नछुने छुनु पर्यो भनेदेखि चाहिँ उहाँहरूले हात चाहिँ सफा गर्ने र पकाउँदाखेरि 70-75 डिग्री सेल्सियसमा चाहिँ पूर्ण रूपमा भाइरस नष्ट हुने. र एउटा कुरा हजुरलाई भनौं कि यो अन्डा र मासु सेवनबाट अहिलेसम्म बर्ड फ्लू रोग विश्वमा कहीँ पनि यो बर्ड फ्लू रोग संक्रमण भएको पुष्टि नै भएको छैन. त्यसैले गर्दाखेरि यो भाइरस चाहिँ हिट अथवा तापसँग अत्यन्त संवेदनशील हुन्छ.
After the infection reached Kirtipur in Kathmandu and Jaulakil Zoo in Lalitpur, the zoo has been closed indefinitely. Strict biosecurity and sanitization measures have been enforced to prevent further spread.
निसंक्रमण गर्ने कामहरु नै मुख्य
हो जुन बायोसेक्युरिटीको कुराहरू त्यसमा चाहिँ तपाईँको फुटपाथलाई चाहिँ फुटपाथदेखि लिएर इन्क्लोजरमा भयो अथवा चाहिँ इन्क्लोजर बाहिर भयो त्यसै गरी कतिपय चाहिँ तपाईँको जीवजन्तुलाई चाहिँ उपचारकै भनौँ न सेकेन्डरी इन्फेक्सन नहोस् भन्नको लागि पनि त्यसको चाहिँ उपचारको कुराहरू भए.
Currently, H5 and H9 strains of bird flu virus have been detected in Nepal. Doctors say H5 is considered more dangerous. Poultry workers and meat processors who are exposed to the danger have been advised to pay special attention to biosecurity. However, the consumption of poultry and eggs has not come down by much in major cities, showing either public negligence or sign of resilience.
Ruling Rashtriya Swatantra Party has revised its election schedule as internal preparations for its first general convention continue, with key procedural timelines for claims, objections and withdrawals now completed. The party has already published a list of 384 candidates competing for 99 Central Committee posts, as it also formally embraces social democracy as its guiding ideological framework. Our cover story after this break. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. And it's time for our cover story. The first and ongoing General Convention of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party, RSP, revised the election schedule. The final list of the General Convention representatives was made public on party's website, WhatsApp group and convention venue at 5 p.m. Election Commission Chief Bhuvan Kesi informed that the initial list of the delegates was published earlier at 3:30 p.m. today. Time for claim and objection to the candidates was set 5 p.m., while half an hour was allocated for investigation into the objections and complaints. Anyone willing to withdraw candidacy were given time till 6 p.m., while final list of the candidates is being published soon after.
हामीले स्वीकारोक्ति 7 रिभ्यूहरू गरिराखेका छौं. काम ढिलो भएको छ, तर काम नगरी चाहिँ कोही पनि बसेको छैन. काम नगरेको कारणले ढिलो भएको होइन, के प्रक्रिया नपुगेको कारणले, नजानेको कारणले, व्यवस्थापकीय अनुभवको कमीको कारणले मात्र ढिलो भएको, इन्टेन्सनले ढिलो भएको होइन भन्ने हामीले बुझ्यौं. र 10 मिनेट पर भोट 75 बोथ भनेको हरेक 10 मिनेटमा हामीले 750 जनाले मतदान गर्नुहुन्छ. त्यो गतिमा त्यो भनेको अधिकतम 4 घण्टामा सकिन्छ र 2 घण्टामा यो राति 1-2 बजेसम्म हामीले केन्द्र समितिको सम्पूर्ण प्रक्रिया टुङ्ग्याइसकेर बिहान 9 बजेदेखि दोस्रो चरणको सुरु गरेर भोलि दिउँसोसम्ममा सबै टुङ्ग्याउने भन्ने तयारीमा छ.
In the first round, the Election Commission had made public the list of 384 candidates for the post of 99 central members. Prime Minister Balendra Shah has returned to Kathmandu after attending the Rashtriya Swatantra Party convention in Chitwan. The Premier travelled back to the capital on regular flight from Bharatpur this morning. During the convention, Shah addressed the inaugural session and participated in the closed-door meeting. Shah was also elected as a senior leader of the party during the convention proceedings. While in Chitwan, he visited the elephant breeding center in Sauraha and toured the Chitwan National Park before returning to Kathmandu. In Nepal's shifting political landscape, a new ideological debate is taking center stage as the country's largest political party, the Rashtriya Swatantra Party, formally embraces social democracy as its guiding philosophy. The move comes amid a long-standing contest between leftist socialism and liberal democratic ideas, with the party positioning itself a distinct alternative to traditional political streams. Here's a report.
Rashtriya Swatantra Party has made it clear through its first general convention that social democracy is its ideological line. Amid a long-running ideological debate between leftist socialism and liberal democracy in the country, the party has positioned itself as a different alternative force from the traditional left or right spectrum, declaring social democracy as its ideological foundation. RSP has stated that following Nepal's political transformation, social democracy will serve as the main basis for achieving good governance, quality public services, and economic opportunities as expected by citizens. Party leaders say the ideology has been adopted to balance the concept of a welfare state with an entrepreneurial economy and to connect it with citizens' living standards.
फरक परिणाम निकाल्ने हो भने फरक परिणाम निकाल्ने हो भने केही फरक त सोच्नै पर्छ जहाँबाट जसरी आएको भए तापनि यो नीलो रंगभित्र हामीले राष्ट्रका लागि गर्नुपर्ने प्रतिबद्धता सँगै मिसिएर आएको छ त्यसैले हिजोको शैलीले उही शैलीले फरक परिणाम निकाल्ने कसैले पनि दिवा स्वप्न देखेको छ भने त्यो असफलतातर्फ जान्छ।
समाजवादको झल्को कसरी आउँछ भने समता र समानता यो दुईटै कुरालाई चाहिँ आत्मसात गरेर सामाजिक न्याय सहितको प्रजातान्त्रिक परिपाटीलाई अंगीकार हामीले जुन गरेका छौं जहाँ चाहिँ तपाईको लिबरल इकोनोमीलाई आत्मसात गरिएको छ, विधिको शासन स्वीकार गरिएको छ, प्रेस फ्रिडम एस्योर गरिएको छ, परराष्ट्र नीतिलाई चाहिँ स्पष्ट रूपमा परिभाषित गरिएको छ, राष्ट्रिय हित हाम्रो सबैभन्दा पहिलो प्राथमिकतामा अक्षुण्ण राख्ने भनिएको छ। यसैको सबै कम्पोनेन्टहरु भित्र यी इन्डिकेटरहरु भित्र चाहिँ सामाजिक प्रजातन्त्र रहन्छ।
Although social democracy is a well-known term in global politics, it has been widely practiced, especially in European nations. It is believed that social democracy prioritizes balancing democratic governance, civil liberties, social justice, and a market economy. Analysts say it is suitable for Nepal because state investment in education, health, employment, and social security directly benefits the general public.
नेपालमा सामाजिक न्याय सामाजिक लोकतन्त्रको चाहिँ धेरै ठूलो बहस र आमना एकदमै त्यो नागरिकले पनि रुचाएको र राजनीतिक दलहरुले पनि रुचाएको एउटा कारण के हो भने नामनारीलाई चाहिँ केही क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ राज्यको चाहिँ संरक्षण चाहिन्छ। सबै कुरा चाहिँ बजारमै छोड्दियौ भने चाहिँ कमजोर मान्छे चाहिँ संरक्षण गर्न सकिदैन। उले जुन पाउने राज्यबाट जे अपेक्षा गरेको हो त्यो अपेक्षा उसको पूरा नहुन सक्छ। त्यो परिप्रेक्ष्यमा चाहिँ सामाजिक लोकतन्त्र राम्रो हो।
Although RSP has advanced the concept of social democracy, it has not yet made public a clear framework on how it will be implemented in practice. While the party has adopted it as ideological foundation, it was first publicly introduced into political debate by Nepali Congress President Gagan Kumar Thapa.
The House of Representatives meeting originally scheduled for Thursday has been postponed by one day and will now take place on Friday afternoon. A notice issued by Federal Parliament Secretary General Padam Prasad Pandey stated that Speaker Dole Prasad Aryal rescheduled the meeting under the provisions of the House regulations. The session has been called for 1 p.m. on Friday. The postponement is widely believed to be linked to the extended duration of the first National Convention of the Rashtriya Swatantra Party currently underway in Bharatpur, Chitwan. Meanwhile, the National Assembly meeting will proceed as originally scheduled on Thursday. The government has issued a 5-day ultimatum to the landless squatters relocated from risky settlements along the Bagmati, Vishnumati and Manohara river banks to vacate the camps. While the government's announcement of immediate relief of 25,000 Nepali rupees and 3 months house rent has added worry and uncertainty, squatters are also relieved to revive some support. A report.
After their huts along the riverbanks were demolished, these shelters became their refuge. Now, within 5 days, they must be vacated. Hundreds of squatters crowded into 7 holding centers in Kathmandu. Bhaktapur and Kavre once again face uncertainty about their future. The Bagmati Civilization Integrated Development Committee has issued a notice requiring camp clearance, promising 25,000 Nepali rupees in immediate relief and monthly house rent of 15,000 rupees for 3 months. But the pressing question remains, what after 3 months?
होल्डिङ सेन्टरको परिवारहरूले स्वतः रूपमा निवेदन दिइसकेको अवस्था छ। 5 दिनभित्रमा हटाउने भन्दा पनि 2-3 दिन त हामी कन्सिडर गर्ने अवस्था पनि हुन्छ।
While the government talks about policy and regulations, those living on the ground complain that in these rainy months of June, July, finding shelter is a struggle. Amid worries about where to go within 5 days, they have no option but to comply with the government's directives.
सूचना आएको छ अब सरेर जाने कहाँ बस्ने ठाउँको व्यवस्थित गरेर हामी बस्थ्यौं बस्ने ठाउँको विचल्ली छ।
यो सरकारले राम्रोसँग व्यवस्था गरिदिनु पर्यो त्यो त 25 हामीले पुग्ने पनि होइन।
They also lament that skyrocketing market prices and social indifference to rent rooms to the squatters have added to their worries. They argue that even 15,000 Nepali rupees a month is barely enough to secure a small corner in Kathmandu Valley.
हामीलाई होल्डिङ सेन्टरबाट निकाल्नु भन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ हामीलाई जग्गा दिए उपलब्ध गराइदिए हुने थियो भन्ने चाहिँ हामी भन्छौं सरकारहरुलाई।
In the name of development and civilization, the riverbanks have been cleared, but the state has consistently failed to ensure long-term management for citizens who had resided in those areas for years. For the moment, the 5-day deadline given by the government is fast approaching.
Several metropolitan cities across Nepal have unveiled their budgets for the upcoming fiscal year, with infrastructure, education, health and governance emerging as key priorities. Lalitpur Metropolitan City announced a budget of 7.48 billion rupees allocating funds for urban development, cultural preservation and smart city services. Bharatpur Metropolitan City presented a budget of 5.51 billion rupees with major investments planned for infrastructure, education, health, agriculture and digital governance. Meanwhile, Birganj Metropolitan City unveiled a budget of 4.42 billion rupees prioritizing infrastructure, environmental protection, disaster management and good governance. Similarly, Biratnagar Metropolitan City announced a budget of 3.56 billion rupees focused on physical infrastructure, education, health, drinking water and employment generation. Kathmandu and Pokhara Metropolitan Cities had already presented their budgets earlier. Kathmandu Valley Traffic Police Office has announced plans to introduce a more technology-based and systematic traffic management system. Officials say the new plan aims to improve traffic monitoring and make enforcement more effective and transparent. The office stated that it has already started awareness programs on traffic rules from July 17th, focusing on safer and more disciplined road use. Authorities have deployed around 16,000 traffic personnel to manage and regulate vehicle movement across the valley. Officials say growing vehicle numbers and infrastructure challenges have made traffic management increasingly difficult, requiring smarter systems and stronger enforcement to ensure road safety. Information and Communication Minister Dr. Bikram Timilsina has stressed the need to make postal services technology-friendly and more effective in serving the public. During an inspection of the district post office in Chitwan, the minister instructed staff to strengthen service delivery and improve efficiency. He said the promotion and modernization of postal services is a government priority and called on employees to play their part in transforming the system into a more service-oriented institution. The minister, who was in Chitwan for RSP convention, also inspected postal and telecommunications offices during his visit. International news coming up next. For now, a recap of the headlines. Robbie Lamichan elected unopposed as RSP president at first general convention. 384 candidates compete for 99 central committee posts. Vaccine shortage at Bheri Hospital leaves victims struggling for treatment with added costs as free anti-rabies vaccine stocks run out. Bird flu spreads to 90 locations across 11 districts of Nepal. Authorities launch control measures as outbreak reaches Kathmandu Valley. Iran says peace agreement reflects resistance rather than pressure from foreign powers. Tehran calls for troop withdrawal. France records all-time temperature high. Authorities issue alerts while heat disrupts travel, schools and public services. And Bosnia and Herzegovina face Qatar, Switzerland meet Canada, Brazil takes Scotland, Morocco play Haiti, South Korea clash South Africa. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio held talks with United Arab Emirates leadership during a Middle East tour aimed at reassuring Gulf allies over a proposed Iran peace agreement. Several Gulf states have expressed concerns that the accord with Iran may be too lenient toward Tehran following the recent regional conflict. The U.S.-Iran agreement signed last week includes a proposed $300 billion reconstruction fund and partial sanctions relief, making it the first formal accord between the two countries in decades. Rubio also reaffirmed Washington's commitment to the security of Gulf partners, including the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain, all of which host key U.S. military bases. Meanwhile, regional discussions are also underway involving Iran, Iraq, and Gulf states over the future management of Strait, a vital global energy shipping route. Additional reconciliation talks are expected to be held in Riyadh as diplomatic efforts continue to stabilize the wider region. Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani visited Muscat for discussions with Oman on launching regional talks involving Iran, Iraq, and Gulf Arab states over the future management of the Strait. The proposed negotiations are separate from ongoing U.S.-Iran peace talks and are expected to focus on navigation, maritime services, and security arrangements in the strategically important waterway. The Strait of Hormuz carries roughly 1/5 of global oil and liquefied natural gas supplies and has faced major disruptions since the outbreak of conflict involving Iran, the United States, and Israel. Officials say the talks stem from provisions in a recent memorandum of understanding that calls for regional cooperation on the management of the strait. Meanwhile, Oman has announced temporary shipping routes to facilitate the safe movement of vessels and confirmed that no transit tolls will be imposed on ships passing through the waterway. On the other news, the Kremlin has warned that nuclear deterrence remains the primary safeguard against a global war as concerns grow over a renewed international arms race. Speaking at a foreign policy forum in Moscow, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said the global security system is steadily eroding and that nuclear weapons continue to play a central role in maintaining strategic stability. The treaty had limited both countries to 1,550 deployed nuclear warheads each and marked a cornerstone of post-Cold War arms control efforts.
Собственно, кроме ядерного сдерживания у нас ничего не осталось в мире. Это единственное, что мир оберегает от глобальной войны. Да, это не страхует нас от региональных конфликтов, общий потенциал которых, к сожалению, растет. Но технологии, опять же, развиваются так, что сейчас уже очевидно, что появятся новые виды вооружений, не являющиеся ядерными, но которые в перспективе по разрушительной силе могут сравняться с потенциалом ядерного оружия.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has welcomed the election of Andy Burnham in the Makerfield by-election, describing himself as very pleased with the party's newest member of Parliament. Speaking during Prime Minister's questions in the House of Commons, Starmer's remarks came as Burnham's victory strengthens his profile within British politics. Business news coming up next. For now, a quick breather.
Oman and Iran agreed on Tuesday to press ahead with discussions on the future administration of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz, forming a joint working group between their foreign ministries to reach agreement on maritime services and the costs associated with them, while also committing to consult other littoral states and relevant parties. In their joint statement, the two coastal states reaffirmed their commitment to maintaining the strait as a secure and open waterway for international navigation, while emphasizing their sovereignty and sovereign rights over their territorial waters in the strait. However, traders and shipowners are watching closely with growing concern over the possible introduction of a tolling arrangement for ships transiting the strait, the joint statement notably referencing costs associated with them in accordance with international standards. Oil markets, meanwhile, reflected cautious optimism, with Brent crude falling 1.79% to $75.68 a barrel, and WTI crude dropping 1.32% to $72.36 on Wednesday, as traders gauged the increasing flow of traffic through the waterway following the US-Iran peace framework.
Brazil would like to confirm knockout stage berth in the FIFA World Cup while playing against Scotland in a Group C clash Thursday morning. On the other hand, Canada, after the impressive last match, entertained Switzerland in Group B clash. A report.
Cristiano Ronaldo shone as Portugal finally secured a convincing 5-0 win over Uzbekistan in the FIFA World Cup 2026 match. 5 goals were scored, with Portugal sealing a commanding 5-0 victory. Ronaldo silenced his critics from the opening match by netting twice. Besides Ronaldo, Nuno Mendes and Rafael Leao added 1 goal each, while Portugal benefited from an own goal. With this win, Portugal strengthened the knockout stage chances. Uzbekistan, having already lost 3-1 to Colombia, suffered a second straight defeat, ending its maiden World Cup hopes. Meanwhile, Ghana held mighty England to a goalless draw in Boston. England failed to capitalize on scoring chances and settled for a point. In Toronto, Croatia defeated Panama 1-0 in Luka Modric's landmark 200th international appearance. Ante Budimir scored the decisive goal in the 53rd minute. Croatia, beaten in the opener, now has 3 points and sits third in Group L. Panama, with back-to-back defeats, is confirmed out of the tournament. In the matches lined up for Thursday, Bosnia and Herzegovina takes on Qatar in a Group B clash, while Switzerland and Canada also face off at the same time. Brazil versus Scotland is one of the high-profile clashes from Group C, while Morocco and Haiti take on simultaneously. South Korea and South Africa lock horns later in a Group A clash.
Time now for the weather update, first from Nepal and then across the world. Before wrapping up, here's a look into the top stories of the hour. Ravi Lamichan elected unopposed as RSP president at first general convention. 384 candidates compete for 99 central committee posts. Vaccine shortage at Bheri Hospital leaves victims struggling for treatment with added cost as free anti-rabies vaccine stocks run out. Bird flu spreads to 90 locations across 11 districts of Nepal. Authorities launch control measures as outbreak reaches Kathmandu Valley. Iran says peace agreement reflects resistance rather than pressure from foreign powers. Tehran calls for troop withdrawal. France records all-time temperature high. Authorities issue alerts while heat disrupts travel, schools and public services. And Bosnia and Herzegovina face Qatar. Switzerland meet Canada. Brazil takes Scotland. Morocco play Haiti. South Korea clash South Africa. That's it for this edition of NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social media and get the latest update from our official website www.nepaltelevision.com. I'm Suviksha Rojak and thank you for staying with us. Good night.